Chapter 1335, Thunder Crystal Temple. One couldn't always trade for thunder crystals in the Scatter Thunder Clan. There were only 3 days on each of the 13 planets where the Thunder Crystal Temple was open. One could only trade for thunder crystal during these 3 days. During these 3 days, most of the cultivators on the cultivation planet would rush over to trade for thunder crystals from the elder in charge. Similarly, they could also trade for treasures from the Scatter Thunder Clan using the thunder crystals. However, in the Scatter Thunder Clan, thunder crystals couldn't be privately traded and couldn't be transferred. They can only be traded with the Thunder Crystal Temple. Although this was the case, the Scatter Thunder Clan had a large amount of people, so they naturally had a way around it. They just traded items of equal worth in thunder crystals to replace thunder crystals. However, this method was very dangerous, so only powerful old monsters dared to deal in private. Not being able to transfer or trade thunder crystals in private was very inconvenient for the members of the Scatter Thunder Clan. However, over the countless years it was never changed. Wang Lin headed toward the Thunder Crystal Temple with Big Red as company. The two turned into 2 rays of light and quickly flew across the sky. The Thunder Crystal Temple was located at the center of the planet on top of the peak of a mountain. This mountain peak was the highest point on the cultivation planet, and it was surrounded by a green fog year-round. One couldn't carelessly enter this place. Once inside the green fog, one would be injured by the thunder inside. A light consequence would be a serious injury, and a serious consequence would be death. This was a forbidden place. Only during the 3 days it was open would the green fog dissipate a bit, revealing a path for the Scatter Thunder Clan members to enter. The Heavenly Thunder Sect was a bit far from the Thunder Crystal Temple. In fact, the Heavenly Thunder Sect was in a remote region of the cultivation planet, just like the country of Zhao on planet Suzaku. No one took it seriously or ever searched it, even if some powerful cultivator settled there. Unless there was a shocking change, the region was truly insignificant to this huge cultivation planet. For example, Yu Fei had never traveled more than 50,000 kilometers away. Even though people within 50,000 kilometers knew him, the moment he left the area, no one would know him. Even Big Red was the same. It was because of this that Wang Lin wasn't too concerned about his sudden change in cultivation level. It took them almost a month to reach the center with Wang Lin using no spells. While flying, Big Red had exerted his full strength and constantly used his invincible art to flatter Wang Lin. However, he wasn't just flattering with his words, he also worked hard. Often, Wang Lin would only need a look, and he would already know what to do. Along the way, Red Big had served Wang Lin well. This was one point that Shu Liguo was lacking in compared to Big Red. Even Wang Lin couldn't help but give him a few extra pills and point out some of Big Red's cultivation flaws. As a result, Big Red had become even more spirited, without Wang Lin's command, whenever they encountered someone they could steal from. He would viciously charge in and return with a large amount of items to trade. He would then hand them over to Wang Lin without keeping any for himself. "Master, further ahead is the range of the Thunder Crystal Temple, so we can continue to steal here." During the 3 days of trade, conflict is banned within the area of the Thunder Crystal Temple. This is a method of protection. Earlier we didn't take a straight line and went around to avoid some powerful cultivators. I know Master's cultivation is heaven-shaking, but the Thunder Crystal Temple is only open for 3 days, so it is best to avoid unnecessary trouble. They can all be dealt with on the way back. During these days, Big Red had slowly gone from calling Wang Lin Sr. to Master. These 2 words had completely different meanings behind them. Big Red thought that Senior always made him sound like an outsider. If he could call Wang Lin Master like Shu Liguo did, they would be like a family. Wang Lin didn't refuse and allowed Big Red to change the way he addressed him. After entering the range of the Thunder Crystal Temple, the amount of cultivators increased and rays of light flew across the sky. Big Red was extremely vigilant. Although this place prevented battling, facing all these powerful cultivators made him nervous. Some cultivators had come in groups. More than 10 people flew across the sky arrogantly, and many people quickly avoided them. The people of the Scatter Thunder Clan are much better than the cultivators of the Inner Realm. It is easy to find soul formation cultivators. And there are also a lot at the soul transformation stage. As Wang Lin moved forward, he withdrew his gaze from the rays of light passing by. Just at this moment, an extremely powerful aura came from behind Wang Lin and Big Red. This aura was like a wave, and it rumbled loudly. There was also thunder surrounding the area. The expressions of the surrounding cultivators all changed slightly. They all looked over with respectful expressions. It was a middle-aged man wearing a Dao crown, with his hands behind his back. He walked past Wang Lin and created a powerful gust of wind. Ascendant Old Monster. It is Mount Wuyi's Black Devil King. Rumor has it that this person is at the peak of the early stage of Ascendant and could enter the mid-stage at any moment. This old monster is said to not casually leave Mount Wuyi. He must be up to something big. Of course, Black Devil King is ranked 766 on the Scatter Thunder rankings. After exchanging for Thunder Crystals this time, he might move up a few spots. The surrounding cultivators all respectfully clasped their hands and all began to talk after the middle-aged man left. Master, that person is Mount Wuyi's Black Devil King. Mount Wuyi has 4 kings, and all of them are ascendant old monsters, Big Red quickly explained to Wang Lin in a low voice. Although Wang Lin had searched Big Red's memory, he had only looked for important matters. He had browsed through memories like this, but didn't he look at them closely. His gaze fell on the Black Devil King. Then he nodded slightly, but didn't he speak. The Black Devil King was already used to the discussions and ignored it all. However, the moment Wang Lin's gaze swept by him, his mind trembled. He felt naked and became covered in cold sweat. Fortunately, this feeling dissipated in an instant. The Black Devil King didn't dare to turn around and quickly flew away. Wang Lin remained calm as he got closer to the Thunder Crystal Temple with Big Red. The temple got closer and closer, and he could see the green fog around the mountain. There was a gap in the fog that looked as if someone had split it open, forming a passage 100 feet wide. There were 2 indifferent cultivators in red standing there. They looked like they were in their 42nds, but they were old monsters that had cultivated for thousands of years. They had surpassed the first step and were at the illusory yin stage. The 2 of them coldly swept the incoming cultivators with their gazes. Any cultivators caught in their gazes would tremble and reveal fear and respect. Even the Black Devil King was like a mortal meeting cultivators and became extremely respectful. Without the need for Big Red to give an introduction, Wang Lin knew that these 2 were in charge of guarding the passage. At this moment, many cultivators were flying through the passage and into the depths. There were a lot of cultivators around, no less than 1,000. However, there wasn't the slightest bit of confusion or uproar. They just quietly entered the passage. It didn't take long for Wang Lin's expression to change slightly, and he looked to the side. A moment later, the clouds churned and thunderous rumbles came from within. The endless thunder seemed to connect the heavens and earth. The thunderous rumbles instantly arrived and immediately shook the minds of the surrounding cultivators. Even the 2 cultivators in red beside the passage revealed solemn expressions. Laughter came from the void, and the clouds shrank until they were only a mantle that wrapped around an old man that walked out. This old man had white hair, but his eyes contained a powerful force. He took a step and seemed to cross space and time, causing the world to distort. Nirvana Scryer cultivator Wang Lin remained calm and revealed an indiscernible smile. The moment the old man appeared, the cultivators outside the passage were all horrified. They didn't even talk before they all clasped their hands and respectfully greeted him. Greetings, Senior Zhou Tian. Even the 2 cultivators in red became respectful. They quickly clasped their hands and respectfully said, Junior greets Senior Zhou Tian. Senior must have come to aim for a top 10 spot on the Scatter Thunder ranking. The old man clasped his hands and laughed. I can enter the top 10, but I would be happy to enter the top 30. After he spoke, he flicked 2 pills into the hands of the 2 cultivators in red. Then he walked into the passage. As he walked forward, all the cultivators moved out of the way. The 2 cultivators in red looked at the pills in their hands and revealed looks of joy. They clasped their hands at the old man's back. Without showing a bit of what he was thinking, Wang Lin looked at where the old man went. After the old man left, the surrounding cultivators began to talk. Second-step cultivators often come on the last day. I didn't expect Senior Zhou Tian to come on the first day. Alas, I wonder when I can awaken my clan mark so I can have power like Senior Zhou Tian S. Perhaps it's impossible for me. It isn't impossible. Rumors say that Senior Zhou Tian had a lucky encounter in his youth. There are many highs and lows in life. Perhaps one day we will have our own luck. As they murmured, Wang Lin and Big Red walked into the passage. The two people in red looked at Wang Lin, naturally noticed nothing, and let them pass. In their eyes, Wang Lin and Big Red were insignificant people. As he entered the green fog, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was the first time he had entered an important area of the Scatter Thunder Clan. After entering the green mist, he looked around, and his eyes revealed a strange light. This fog. The end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video, Don T. hold back, it's expiring. Chapter 1336. Promoting into the Scatter Thunder ranking. The green fog would churn and flashes of thunder would come from within. This caused almost all the cultivators who entered to feel a sense of awe and respect. They didn't dare to get close to the green fog at all, and chose to fly at the center of the passage. It was as if they were worried that a giant hand would reach out and grab them from the fog. Although it wasn't the first time Big Red had come to the Thunder Crystal Temple, after he entered the passage, he was still terrified and cautiously flew forward. Wang Lin was calm as he looked at the surrounding green fog. This fog was terrifying to others, but to Wang Lin, there was nothing to fear. This fog is very interesting. Wang Lin could see that this fog was not really fog, but thunder. Someone had used a powerful spell to bring thunder here and then crushed it into fog. Then they added their own unique spell to make it act as a protective formation. So thunder can be turned into fog. The Scatter Thunder Clan has already studied thunder to this degree. They turned thunder into fog, and in turn changed it into something flexible. In terms of protection, it has a similar effect to my wind and rain world. With a thought, this thunder fog can shrink into a cage. There are endless possibilities. It is wonderful indeed. As he walked through the passage, he began observing the fog even more carefully. The Scatter Thunder Clan didn't expect any outsider to come here, and right now the thunder fog is active, which is equal to displaying its core for all to see since they are so kind. I want to be polite. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and his divine sense spread into the fog, and he began to study it. His divine sense was so powerful that it completely suppressed the thunder fog, so it couldn't resist as Wang Lin studied it. If the fog had not been opened up like this, Wang Lin would had to be much more cautious, and it would have taken some time for him to see the core of this spell. However, right now it was extremely convenient for Wang Lin. As his divine sense studied the fog, he quickly deduced the spell used. This spell that turned thunder into fog was extremely intricate, so much so that even Wang Lin was marveled by it. Something like this had never happened in the Scatter Thunder Clan. They would have never thought that someone could simply enter the fog and see through the origin of the spell used to create the thunder fog. Throughout the ages, Wang Lin was the first one. The Scatter Thunder Clan would have never thought that someone could break through the Thunder Lake and mix into the clan. It was something unthinkable. Only third-step cultivators could enter without being injured. No one else could enter at all. Only Wang Lin could do this. His origin soul was a bolt of thunder on the same level of existence as that eternal thunderbolt. This was why he could accomplish this almost impossible feat. Now he had arrived at an important place in the Scatter Thunder Clan and saw the thunder fog. It was as if the veil was open for him to clearly see everything, and he learned one of the Scatter Thunder Clan's secret spells, Fog Transformation Thunder Spell. If the Scatter Thunder Clan knew of this, they would be shocked and terrified. This was beyond their imagination. The passage in the fog wasn't long. It only took 15 minutes to pass through. Even though Wang Lin's divine sense was suppressing the fog, no one noticed anything. After all, Wang Lin's origin soul was also thunder, so using thunder to comprehend thunder left no openings. The moment he walked out of the fog, Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense. His eyes lit up, and a rune appeared faintly in his eyes. This rune was the Tao essence of the Fog Transformation Thunder Spell. After walking out from the passage, a towering mountain appeared before Wang Lin. At the top of the mountain there was an extremely luxurious temple that was covered in thunder. The temple had 3 large words at the entrance. Thunder Crystal Temple. Rays of light filled the area. The cultivators that exited the passage all flew toward the temple. Wang Lin and Big Red also flew up and soon arrived outside the temple. Master, there are 3 gates in this temple, east, west, and south. The east gate is for exchanging for thunder crystals, and the south gated to use thunder crystals to exchange for treasures and pills from the clan. As for the last west gate, only powerful cultivators can go there. That is where the clan gives out tasks. Once you complete a task, you can earn a lot of Thunder Crystals. Big Red knew Wang Lin had never come to the Thunder Crystal Temple before and had his own doubts. However, given the benefits Wang Lin had given him, he pretended like he didn't know. Wang Lin already knew this from Big Red's memory. He nodded and said, "I'll go alone. When I leave, I'll find you." Big Red quickly nodded. Wang Lin no longer paid any attention to Big Red and withdrew his gaze from the lavish temple. He could tell at a glance that the power of space was at work here. It looked like one, but in reality there were 4 layers of space. The east, south, and west gates all led to 3 different spaces, but there was also a 4th space without an entrance. Wang Lin's divine sense swept by and clearly found 9 auras cultivating inside. There are a lot of powerful cultivators in the Scatter Thunder clan. Out of the 9 auras, 5 are at the Nirvana Scryer stage, 3 are at the Nirvana Cleanser stage, and 1 is actually at the Nirvana Shatterer stage. Wang Lin quietly walked toward the east gate of the temple. There were a lot of Scatter Thunder clan members here. They were either alone or in groups, and it was extremely lively. In particular, there was a large amount of cultivators at the east gate. They were obviously hiding their excitement as they quickly left. There were also those that had been alive for far too long and remained calm, not revealing any of their thoughts. This kind of mental strength was related to personality and age. Wang Lin had cultivated for 2,000 years and had seen a lot. He was very cunning, and his ability to scheme was no weaker than that of those old monsters that had lived for tens of thousands of years, sometimes even more. After all, aside from cultivation level, your cunning was also a key point to your survival. Wang Lin wasn't in a rush to enter the east gate, so he observed it for a while. Wang Lin then put up an indifferent expression and walked toward the east gate. He didn't know anyone here, and no one here knew him. Adding his indifferent expression, no one came to talk with him. The moment he entered the east gate, Wang Lin clearly felt like he had entered a space someone had created. Before him was a black pool that seemed to be filled with mud-like substance, and it was bubbling. There were 3 old men sitting on the side of the pool, and their cultivation levels weren't low. One of them was at the corporeal yang stage, and the other 2 were both at the illusory yin stage. Thunder moved within their bodies. Wang Lin had learned how to trade for thunder crystals from Big Red's memory. Not wasting any time, he touched the mark on his forehead to pretend to open up his storage space. Large amounts of items that could be used to exchange for thunder crystals flew out into the pool and were devoured by the mud. After a while, Wang Lin still didn't finish, and the 3 old men sitting there opened their eyes and carefully looked at Wang Lin. Their eyes revealed a strange light. The 3 of them had been in charge of this place for a while, and they rarely ever saw anyone who could take out so many things at once to exchange for thunder crystals. This caught their attention. Wang Lin's cultivation level could change at will, and at this moment he was an ascendant cultivator before their 3 old men. After everything had been exchanged and swallowed by the black pool, Wang Lin calmly took out a jade. This wasn't something to trade, it was the Scatter Thunder ranking. He casually threw the jade into the black pool. Muffled roars came from the pool, and not long after, the jade flew out from the pool and into Wang Lin's hands. At the same time, the Scatter Thunder ranking jade, every single clan member had gave off a ripple. This meant that there was a change to the rankings recorded within. Every year during the 3 days the Thunder Crystal Temple was open, there would be drastic changes to the rankings. However, the first 800 names rarely changed, and at most they would be placed in different order. However, at this moment, the Scatter Thunder ranking jade gave off a violent ripple. This only meant one thing. A new person had entered the rankings. Almost every cultivator in the Scatter Thunder clan took out their ranking jade and looked into it. First place was still Master Spruce, but the amount had changed from 900 change to 409,000. As the cultivators of the Scatter Thunder clan looked through the list, the smart ones looked from the bottom and immediately saw the newcomer that had caused the ripple. At rank 799, Yu Fei with 464,000 thunder crystals, only 3,000 higher than rank 800. Yu Fei? I wonder what trial planet he is from. He instantly entered the Scatter Thunder rankings. This person isn't famous, but the clan has a lot of people, so it is impossible to know them all. Since this person could enter the rankings, he can be looked down upon. Although he is at the bottom of the rankings, to be able to enter the list means he must have skills. This name is easy to remember. Yufei. However, these are the 3 days when the rankings change the most. I don't know if this person would still be on the rankings in 3 days. At this instant, there were people talking about this across all 13 trial planets. After all, there were only 800 people on the rankings, so the moment you entered, you would become famous. The name Yu Fei was remembered by a lot of the Scatter Thunder Clan members. A grand chapter. Not caring to read 4,500 words, can T bear to split it into 2 chapters. As the donkey dies a martyr, tears flow wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1337. The Secret of the Scatter Thunder Clan. Wang Lin put away the jade from the pool and was about to leave. At this moment, one of 3 old men beside the pool slowly opened his mouth. So Yu Fei. Wang Lin's expression remained calm and he nodded. The old man examined Wang Lin and slowly said, "Not bad. To be able to remain calm under my pressure means your heart is strong. Accumulating resources for several years before exchanging it all today shows that you are very wise. Very good. You re-qualify to enter the West Gate to see if you can find a suitable task. Only low-rank cultivators exchange resources for thunder crystals. Since you are now in the Scatter Thunder rankings, you can complete missions given by the family and earn much more thunder crystals." The old man looked at Wang Lin with admiration. He was satisfied with how calm Wang Lin was. Wang Lin faintly smiled. Then he nodded slightly but didn't speak. "I didn't think that you would enter the Scatter Thunder ranking before us. As tradition, the people responsible for the East Gate have to give gift to someone who has entered the Scatter Thunder ranking for the first time. This is a great thunder pill. It was personally made by me and had been compressed 8,900 times. Take it to protect yourself." The old man waved his right hand and a thumb-sized ball of thunder appeared and floated before Wang Lin. The other 2 old men smiled at each other. One of them waved his hand and a jade appeared. He threw it at Wang Lin and said, "This jade contains a cultivation method of the Scatter Thunder Clan. It is useless to me, but if you cultivate it, it can awaken your clan mark even more. Consider it a greeting gift from this old man." The final old man, who was a corporeal yang cultivator, looked at Wang Lin carefully and smiled. "I won't gift you a treasure, but a sentence. Go to the West Gate and chose the spiritual thunder task. It will be the quickest way for you to gather thunder crystals. You can smoothly accept this task with my jade." As he spoke, he waved his right hand, and a jade slowly flew toward Wang Lin. Spiritual thunder? Among the memories of the Scatter Thunder Clan members he had devoured, there was no spiritual thunder. Since you can enter the rankings, you can know a few things. Our ancestors have been studying thunder for countless years. They found that there are 6 types of thunder in this world. If you can absorb and refine all 6, you will obtain an indescribable thunder. The 6 types of thunder are heavenly thunder, earth thunder, origin thunder, magnetic thunder, Tao thunder, and the last is spiritual thunder. Taking this task isn't just to get thunder crystals, but for you to come in contact with the 6 types of thunder. "Okay, you can leave," the old man explained. Wang Lin nodded before clasping his hands and leaving. After leaving the East Gate, he heard a lot of talking, and the name Yu Fei was being talked about constantly. Wang Lin walked past them as usual, and began to ponder. 6 types of thunder, although the Scatter Thunder Clan's control of thunder is weaker than mine. Their study of thunder has reached a peak that Corporeal Yang Jr. wants me to choose the Spiritual Thunder mission. Spiritual thunder. What kind of thunder is this? As Wang Lin pondered, his eyes lit up. He had always been bold, so he simply changed his direction from heading to the South Gate to the West Gate. There were very few cultivators in the West Gate of the Thunder Crystal Temple. Only occasionally would someone walk out, and although their expressions were normal, Wang Lin could see frustration. It seemed they either weren't allowed to accept a task, or hadn't found a satisfactory task. After standing outside the West Gate for a while, Wang Lin calmly walked inside. He appeared in a new space. This place was very big and was like a void surrounded by thunder. However, this place was obviously isolated, as the sound of thunder felt like it was coming from far away. There were 6 old men at the yin and yang stage sitting there. They had indifferent gazes, and no one knew what they were thinking about. There were hundreds of jades floating in the air, and they each gave off a different strength of light. The weak lights were soft, while the bright lights were harsh. Aside from Wang Lin and the 6 old men who were in charge of this place, there were about a dozen more cultivators scattered here. Their divine senses were spread across the jades in the air. The Black Devil King was among them. Even Master Zhou Tian, who was extremely respected outside, was also standing here. He was calmly staring at the brightest jade, pondering. Wang Lin's entrance didn't attract anyone's attention. His divine sense spread out without anyone detecting and swept past each of the jades. A moment later, Wang Lin had the general idea. These jades held various tasks given out by the Scatter Thunder clan. These included leaving the clan to hunt for someone or finding extremely rare materials. The brighter the light, the more difficult it was, and similarly, the more thunder crystals you would get as a reward. Wang Lin's gaze swept through them, and in the end landed on a bright jade. This was also the jade Master Zhou Tian was looking at. Head to the million worlds, become the heavenly Tao, and descend divine retribution. At first Wang Lin didn't care, but after looking at it more closely, he trembled and looked even more closely. Descend divine retribution and punish the people of the million worlds. Kill those who reach the peak of the soul formation stage and are about to ascend to the celestial realm. Collect their spiritual thunder. There was a lot of information inside the jade. After Wang Lin finished reading it, a huge wave was set off in his mind, and he didn't dare to believe it. In this world, everything, including vegetation, beasts, cultivators, and so on, all had spirits. Once they reached the peak of the soul formation stage, they would ascend to the celestial realm. Wang Lin understood this. He had learned this back on planet Suzaku. If the celestial realm hadn't collapsed, once a cultivator reached the late stage of soul formation, they would face divine retribution and ascend to the celestial realm. The soul transformation stage in fact belonged to celestial cultivation, which was why soul transformation cultivators needed celestial jades to cultivate. There was a place that was created by the first Scatter Thunder clan ancestor. He was considered the strongest Scatter Thunder clan member, as well as the third step cultivator who had led the clan to its peak and placed a clan treasure in the sealed realm formation. The ancestor didn't create this world by himself, but had gotten help from some mysterious cultivators. This place was called the 7 million worlds by future descendants. The name implied that there were 7 million worlds inside. There were countless creatures living there, and they were all cultivating. They believed that there was a celestial realm, or someone had made them believe that there was a celestial realm, for countless years. Only their celestial realm was the Scatter Thunder clan. Every life inside the million worlds was an ant to the Scatter Thunder clan. For some unknown reason they wouldn't allow high-level cultivators to sprout there. Once a cultivator reached the peak of the soul formation stage, divine retribution would appear and destroy them. However, some of the cultivators in the million worlds would give birth to a strange force due to their talent or something special about their body. This force would change when the divine retribution hit them, forming one of the 6 types of thunder the Scatter Thunder clan had categorized spiritual thunder. Any person who could form this spiritual thunder in the 7 million worlds would pass the divine retribution and enter the celestial realm. Countless legends of them would spread across the 7 million worlds, and praise and admiration of their success would be passed on for generations. However, the truth was that those cultivators were destroyed and had become the Scatter Thunder clan's spiritual thunder. The Celestials that delivered the divine retribution were members of the Scatter Thunder clan. The divine retribution the 7 million worlds faced was merely a task the Scatter Thunder clan had placed in the Thunder Crystal Temple. It took a long time for Wang Lin to awaken from the shock. He looked at the shining jade and silently pondered. Since entering the ancient star system, Wang Lin had felt the strength of the ancient star system, and Tao Master Blue Dream had even pointed it out. But it wasn't until now that he finally realized the strength of the ancient star system. I still remember the battle against the Moongazer Serpent in the Void and the first time I saw someone from the ancient star system. He called himself Heavenly Tao, who knew that the negligible Scatter Thunder clan in the ancient star system would have such a big secret. Unbelievable. Wang Lin had a complicated expression. He had to admit that he had underestimated the strength of the Scattered Thunder clan. However, even if this is the case, I still have to devour the Eternal Thunderbolt and destroy the Scatter Thunder clan. Wang Lin had fought many adversities in his life, but he was never held down. Zhu Kezi couldn't, the All-Seer couldn't, the Alliance couldn't, Al-Heaven couldn't, and even Taoist Water couldn't. He was slowly getting close to the secret of the Scattered Thunder clan and the secrets of the ancient star system, but this ignited his indomitable will. I want to see what this spiritual thunder is. Without hesitation, Wang Lin raised his right hand toward the jade. However, at this moment, Master Zhou Tian had also made up his mind, and had reached for the jade just before Wang Lin. Master Zhou Tian was closer to the jade and was faster than Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned as he loosened his hand, and the jade flew into Master Zhou Tian's hands. He grabbed the jade and coldly at Wang Lin. Then he only said one word. Scram! His expression was indifferent, and pressure spread out without showing disdain. This was as proud as a Nirvana Scryer cultivator, a stage that put him above millions of people. Wang Lin was like an ant that he could kill hundreds of times with a wave of his finger. A junior daring to compete with him for a mission was the same as asking for death. Wang Lin's expression was cold, and there was a faint flash of coldness in his eyes. This was a sign that he was going to kill. Big brothers and little sisters, do you still have likes for the video? Wishing for the like button for the video to help. Chapter 1338, Killing Master Zhou Tian. Wang Lin had cultivated for 2,000 years, and the entire path he had walked on had been extremely dangerous. Using his wisdom and his indomitable will, he had struggled through many life and death situations. This had given him the courage to fight against the heavens. He even dared to fight a third-step cultivator like Taoist water. If not for the fact he was chased by Tuo Sen, and then meeting Tao Master Blue Dream made Wang Lin feel that the ancient star system was unfathomable, then he had chose such a subtle method of dealing with the Scatter Thunder Clan. However, all of this had a bottom line. If someone had stepped over this line, Wang Lin's reckless nature would be broken loose. Even if he intended to move more cautiously, he would still kill. Xianxia's battle intent had taken root in Wang Lin's mind. At this moment, this Master Zhou Tian, who was a mere Nirvana Scryer cultivator, dared to bare his fangs. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he looked at Master Zhou Tian, and he revealed a sneer on the corner of his mouth. When Master Zhou Tian saw Wang Lin's expression, his heart skipped a beat, and he felt a vague sense of danger. However, when he looked at Wang Lin, he only saw an ascendant cultivator. For a little cultivator like this to reveal this expression, Master Zhou Tian frowned, and killing intent appeared in his heart. He could never have imagined that someone could enter this place, impersonate a member of the Scatter Thunder Clan, and enter the Thunder Crystal Temple. He didn't know that this person before him was like an extremely fierce primal beast. Just at this moment, the 6 Scattered Thunder Clan cultivators in charge of this place suddenly opened their eyes. One of them stood up and looked at Wang Lin. Your name is Yu Fei? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. With his wisdom, he immediately judged that the reason this person knew him had to do with the corporeal Yang Jr. that had given him the jade. Without a word, he waved his right hand and that jade appeared. It flew toward the person that spoke. The cultivator's eyes narrowed when he caught the jade. After looking inside, he examined Wang Lin before clasping his hands at Master Zhou Tian. Senior Zhou Tian, please give us some face. This person was entrusted by an old friend to head to the Million Worlds to take the trial. The task doesn't just ask for one person. How about letting him go as well? Master Zhou Tian had an indifferent expression as he looked at the cultivator who had spoken. These cultivators that guarded the west gate were also like ants to him. But in the end, they had higher positions in the family and had an elder behind them. Even though he was arrogant, even he had to carefully consider this. Killing someone here would make it difficult for the elder. Let this little brat go into the Million Worlds where no one can detect his death. After all, with the restriction around the 7 million worlds, not even the Ancestor's divine sense can enter. This is why that place is where the clan deals with personal grudges. It is also where everyone trades in secret. Master Zhou Tian made a decision and no longer paid attention to Wang Lin. He nodded slightly before he disappeared into the jade toward the 7 million worlds. The moment after he disappeared, the jade gave off a bright glow and Wang Lin caught it. His divine sense went in, and he disappeared into the Million Worlds. The Scatter Thunder Clan cultivators in charge of the place frowned and revealed displeased expressions. That person is too ungrateful. We helped him, and he didn't even say thanks. Forget it. I was originally going to persuade him to not enter the 7 million worlds. There was killing intent in that Master Zhou Tian's eyes. That child couldn't see, but we could clearly see it. Once that child enters, I fear he will face a life and death crisis. It is a pity about fellow cultivator Hao Ran's request. From what he said, he had his eye on this person. This matter is not related to us. Whether he lives or dies will be decided by fate. The 6 of them passed messages between each other before they dropped the matter and closed their eyes to cultivate once more. As for Wang Lin, after he disappeared, his vision immediately blurred, but his origin soul was too strong, so he immediately recovered. When he recovered his vision, he could clearly see the narrow passage. This passage gave off a crystal light. When this light touched your body, it made you transparent. Even your insides became invisible. Under Wang Lin's careful observation, he clearly felt there was a thick wall preventing divine sense from extending out. There were also raging, chaotic turbulence surrounding the passage. This place is extremely strange. Looking at the thickness of the wall, there is no way for divine sense from outside to extend in here. It would be impossible for someone to detect a person being killed here. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He rushed forward, moving at a shocking speed. The spatial turbulence began to surge with Wang Lin's speed, and large spatial cracks appeared. However, they couldn't stop Wang Lin at all. The spatial cracks would often shatter and dissipate due to Wang Lin's speed. How could Wang Lin not have seen the killing intent in Master Zhou Tian's eyes? Wang Lin's personality had always been like this. If other Don T offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If the other party decided to kill him, then he would kill them. Wang Lin and Master Zhou Tian had entered the tunnel to the million worlds almost at the same time. Master Zhou Tian was also moving faster, but he had to avoid the turbulence, so he naturally had to slow down. He had a thunder cloak wrapped around him, making him look like a thundercloud as he charged ahead. His indifference from back in the Thunder Crystal Temple had disappeared, and he was now gloomy, giving off a domineering aura. As a Nirvana scryer cultivator, he had his own pride. The Million Worlds was a lawless land, and it was a place the powerful cultivators liked to go. Whether it was trading in secret or solving a personal grudge, the elders of the clan wouldn't see it. This was where only the strong were respected. This tunnel wasn't very long, so it didn't take long for Master Zhou Tian to get close to the exit. Arrogance filled his face as he thought, I have to be on guard in the transaction with Master Hao Kun. His cultivation level is slightly higher than mine, so if I go with the intent to battle, I want to be his match. However, I have asked a few close friends to go with me, so Master Hao Kun would be more scrupulous. As he pondered, he moved faster and faster. All he thought about was the exchange, and as for Wang Lin, in his view, Wang Lin was only an ant that wasn't worth thinking about. He would only need to wait at the square in the Million Worlds for a moment, and immediately kill this Yu Fei the moment he appeared. However, just as Master Zhou Tian got close to the exit and was thinking about the exchange, his hair immediately stood up. The most intense sense of crisis he had ever felt in his life erupted from within his body. The moment the sense of crisis spread out, an extremely cold voice resounded behind Master Zhou Tian. You want to kill me? This voice was like the cold air from the depths of hell. The moment this voice entered his ears, Master Zhou Tian's expression changed, and he turned around to see Wang Lin slowly walking over. His pupils suddenly shrank, and he revealed a look of disbelief. This was the first time he had seen someone who could walk so calmly through this chaotic space that led to millions of different worlds. The chaotic turbulence collapsed before this person, and there were broken fragments behind him. At a glance, it looked like this person made the world collapse when he moved. Adding the extremely cold voice, it made Master Zhou Tian think that this person had broken through the void to kill him. You hid your cultivation. Master Zhou Tian's face was pale, but there was a flash of killing intent in his eyes. He had cultivated for a long time, and had naturally faced many life and death crises. Although he was shocked, he quickly recovered, and without hesitation he hit the mark between his eyebrows. When the mark flew out, thunderous rumble echoed and endless thunder appeared in the void. The thunder he gave off was monstrous in this narrow tunnel, and it was as if he had turned into a thunder dragon. The thunder dragon opened its mouth and charged at Wang Lin. I originally planned to kill you in the 7 million worlds, but since you came looking for death yourself, I'll take your life now. Master Zhou Tian's sinister voice echoed as the thunder dragon roared. The roar echoed as if there were countless people roaring at the same time. This sound wave fused with the thunder and produced the strongest attack of a Nirvana scryer cultivator. He was using his full strength at the start. This showed his fear and suspicion of Wang Lin appearing here. Wang Lin remained calm, and there was a look of mockery in his eyes. He raised his right hand and gently waved. What nonsense! All thunder in the world, listen to my command. Collapse! Thunderous rumbles suddenly echoed violently. The thunder dragon let out a miserable scream and its head began to collapse. This collapse quickly spread across its body, and the thunder dragon shattered after only a few breaths of time. All of this happened in a flash. After the thunder dragon collapsed, Master Zhou Tian appeared. He was coughing out blood, his face was pale, and his eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. His eyes widened and became filled with endless panic. Nirvana Shatterer! This is Nirvana Shatterer Cultivator! No, this is beyond Nirvana Shatterer. This is his scalp was numb, and he was scared out of his wits as he frantically retreated. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind, and it was escape, 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 escape. Aren't you going to kill me? A cold voice echoed in the passage. Just in time to keep the manuscript. Tonight's update might not be timely. If there's no second watch tonight, Leo will supplement tomorrow. However, Leo will try his best to finish today. Chapter 1339, Malicious Intent. The exit to the Million Worlds was less than 5 kilometers away. Although a Nirvana Scryer cultivator couldn't teleport here, it was a distance he could cross in the blink of an eye. However, Master Zhou Tian didn't even have that much time. Just as he was fleeing, Wang Lin's mocking voice entered his mind. He couldn't even think before his pupils shrank and Wang Lin somehow appeared before him. That pair of cold eyes was filled with thunder and pierced into Master Zhou Tian's soul. Rumble, 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 rumble. It was as if millions of bolts of thunder had rushed into Master Zhou Tian's eyes and exploded inside his body. This created an unimaginable storm inside him, tearing his body apart. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood mixed with pieces of his internal organs. His eyes became blurry and then widened from terror. All the danger he had faced in his life couldn't compare to what was coming at him today. He was inside this passage where no matter who he called for help, they wouldn't respond. At this moment, he felt endless regret. If he hadn't provoked that person in the Thunder Crystal Temple, this wouldn't have happened. However, this regret came too late. Wang Lin's spell entered his eyes and landed on Master Zhou Tian. His gaze was like a trigger that caused all the Thunder Masters Zhou Tian had cultivated over the countless years to collapse. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, all the thunder inside Master Zhou Tian exploded outside of his control. He didn't even get to scream before his body exploded into pieces. Those pieces of flesh also exploded and continued to spread. As the heaven-shaking collapse occurred, Master Zhou Tian's origin soul rushed out while surrounded by his clan mark. His origin soul was seriously damaged and almost transparent. After rushing out, he quickly escaped. However, forget him, even cultivators at the Nirvana Shatterer stage weren't qualified to escape without Wang Lin allowing it. Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void, and a suction force surrounded Master Zhou Tian, causing him to scream. He instantly fell in Wang Lin's hand. The large difference in cultivation levels made it so he couldn't even blow himself up. After being caught by Wang Lin, Master Zhou Tian began begging for his life. Elder, forgive me. Junior didn't intend to offend you. Elder, forgive. As he spoke, his eyes suddenly widened and flooded with disbelief. At such a close distance, and due to the light from the passage, which made Wang Lin's body transparent, he could clearly see a soul sealed inside Wang Lin. You were not. Before he could finish speaking, Wang Lin coldly squeezed his right hand, and Master Zhou Tian was destroyed. A thunder force came from his origin soul and was absorbed by Wang Lin. His clan mark was put away by Wang Lin. A very short period of time had passed from when he attacked and crushed Master Zhou Tian's origin soul. After killing Master Zhou Tian like killing an ant, he rushed forward, breaking all barriers before him. He rushed into the exit and entered an important place for the Scatter Thunder Clan, the Million Worlds. Ever since the 7 million worlds had been created, aside from the mysterious cultivators that had helped the Scatter Thunder Clan's third step ancestor created, no outsider had ever entered. Wang Lin would be the first after those mysterious cultivators. This was a vast star system that contained 7 million cultivation planets. These cultivation planets were not densely packed, but they were mostly far from each other. This star system was extremely large, almost boundless, but in Wang Lin's eyes, it looked a bit fake. Its brightness was only a decoration, and its size had been carved out by someone. The distance between each cultivation planet was exactly the same. At the center of this endless star system was a large continent. There were countless towering pavilions and a statue on this continent. The statue was that of a man covered in thunder. From afar, it looked like a giant looking at the distance. This was the central square of the million worlds, and also where everyone appeared after accepting the task. There was a large amount of cultivators outside those towering pavilions, no less than 10,000 of them. Most of them were at the soul transformation stage, and many were at the ascendant stage. There were only a few at yin and yang stage. There were many above the nirvana scryer stage. Most of them were in a hurry. There was a large transfer array outside each of the large pavilions. Wang Lin immediately looked around after he came out of the formation. Although he was prepared, he was still shocked. His expression didn't attract the attention of the guard at the transfer array. Every clan member would be like during their first time here. Enough, don't look inside the transfer array. Wait until after you leave and you'll have time to look all you want. It must be your first time here. Give me your jade and let me see. An impatient voice interrupted Wang Lin's thoughts. It was an incorporeal yang cultivator sitting beside the formation. Wang Lin took out Yufei's clan jade and threw it. The cultivator examined it for a bit before returning it. Then the guard waved his right hand, and a ghostly light flew toward Wang Lin. Take these and go study them yourself on the side. There were 3 things inside this ghostly light. There was a jade, a token, and a bolt of thunder. Wang Lin's expression remained the same as he took the ghostly light and walked out of the transfer array. This place was very busy, so no one paid attention to him. He walked to the side and took out the jade. This jade told him a few things to pay attention to in the million worlds, but it also introduced the other 2 things. The key to enter the 7 million world was the this token. Only with it in hand could he enter. As for the bolt of thunder, it caught Wang Lin's attention. Although this thunder looked like it was there, he couldn't touch it with his hand. Ti's thunder seemed to form a formation. With a sweep of his divine sense, Wang Lin found that it unexpectedly contained the power of a thunder lake 100,000 feet wide. What shocked Wang Lin even more was the indescribable will coming from the thunderbolt. This will contained a faint obsession toward life. It was as if what he was holding wasn't thunder, but real life. This made Wang Lin take a deep breath. This is a trace of spiritual thunder. The jade said that every time a new cultivator enters, the scattered thunder clan gives one to them. It was only a trace of spiritual thunder, and it wasn't complete. It would take 1,000 slivers to make the complete one. This was to prevent people from abusing the rule of sealing. The people of the clan only had one chance in their life to obtain this thunder. Once it was gone, they couldn't obtain more from the clan. They could only rely on stealing from others or trading in private. Even so, there were still people who had the idea of stealing that sliver of spiritual thunder from newcomers. At this moment, 3 cultivators locked their gazes on that sliver of thunder. As Wang Lin observed the thunder, a middle-aged man came from not far away. This person was smiling, and he seemed to be at the mid-stage of ascendant. Fellow cultivator, I am Zhang Jingyun. This must be fellow cultivator S first time in the 7 million worlds. Wang Lin looked up. With a flip of his hand, the spiritual thunder disappeared. He looked at the cultivator before him and nodded. Everyone belongs to the same clan. This is my 2nd time at the 7 million worlds, so I am somewhat familiar with it. How about we form a group and you allow me to introduce you to some people? This would make it convenient for everyone, and it's more convenient to move as a group. What does fellow cultivator think? The middle-aged man looked sincere, and his expression was gentle. However, his expression was filled with flaws in Wang Lin's eyes. After all, Wang Lin was an old monster who had lived for 2,000 years, and this middle-aged man naturally just wasn't as good. Wang Lin revealed a smile and looked profoundly at the middle-aged man. He clasped his hands and said, "Then I'll be thanking fellow cultivator." The middle-aged man suddenly became cautious when Wang Lin looked at him. He vaguely felt like his secrets had been seen through. However, after carefully looking at Wang Lin, he noticed nothing and smiled. "No problem. We are in the same clan, so we should support each other." "What is fellow cultivator called?" Wang Lin smiled. "Yufei." "Yufei? That name is a bit familiar." The middle-aged man pondered a bit, and then his eyes revealed a strange light. He clasped his hands and laughed. So it is, fellow cultivator Yu Fei, the one who just entered the Scatter Thunder rankings. The middle-aged man spoke a few more words, and when he thought he had seen through Wang Lin, he said, "Fellow cultivator Yu, this is not a place to talk. And the formation leading toward the 7 million worlds is about to open. How about we go over there?" After Wang Lin agreed, the middle-aged man led Wang Lin through the crowd. When another cultivator saw this, he secretly shook his head. Another person is about to have bad luck. Anyone who is led away by that Zhang Jingyun will not only lose their spiritual thunder, not even their life is guaranteed. This Zhang Jingyun was obviously very familiar with the central square, so it didn't take long for them to arrive at a large formation. There were hundreds of cultivators here, all in their own groups. There was a group with more than 10 cultivators. 6 of them were new like Wang Lin, while the remaining 4 had higher cultivation levels at the illusory yin stage. Zhang Jingyun walked up and smiled. "Everyone, I've brought back one more. I believe everyone has heard the name Yu Fei already." Reading so much. Besides, the golden keyboard is active. I ask everyone to support a bit more, not just words of support. I'm afraid I can't even carry the last 3. Chapter 1340. So this is divine retribution. Zhang Jingyun's laughter was hearty as he brought Wang Lin over and introduced him to the crowd. The cultivators that were obviously new to the 7 million worlds all greeted Wang Lin and spoke a few words. As for their inner thoughts, Wang Lin felt like he was facing a group of children. He could easily see through them. As for the others 4 cultivators, like Zhang Jingyun, they looked at Wang Lin as if they were looking at a little lamb. They faked a smile and said a few words. The rest of the cultivators outside the formation were all indifferent. They naturally saw what was going on, but they ignored it. This kind of thing happened all the time at the central square of the million worlds. Zhang Jingyun and company stood in a siege formation to prevent any accidents. Wang Lin looked around and closed his eyes. He didn't bother paying attention to the messages they were passing to each other. Brother Zhang is indeed mighty to actually get Yu Fei, who has just entered the Scatter Thunder rankings here. I admire you. However, we have to be careful. There must be something remarkable about him to be able to enter the Scatter Thunder rankings. It is best we don't get caught off guard. Brother Zhou is being a bit too careful. This person is only at the early stage of Ascendant. Forget the 4 of us attacking together. Just one of us can kill him at will. In addition, with Senior Zhao here, this person can do anything. That's right, Senior Zhao is at the illusory yin stage and only 1 step away from the corporeal yang stage. He is one who stands above many, and with Senior here, we will naturally listen to Senior. After gathering the traces of spiritual thunder from these people, we can finally form a complete spiritual thunder. Then we can go to the Thunder Crystal Temple to exchange it for those 4 celestial ranked flying swords. It didn't take long for the formation. The hundreds of cultivators were around to flash and show signs of activating. Some of the cultivators became spirited, and some were excited. They obviously enjoyed becoming the heavenly Tao. Even that illusory yin cultivator in Zhang Jingyun's group was the same. His lips curled into a smile. A moment later, the formation rumbled, and Wang Lin opened his eyes. Zhang Jingyun looked excited and smiled. Everyone, the formation is about to open. Quickly, take out your tokens. The 5 of us will work together so we don't disperse, and once we enter the 7 million worlds, we can become the heavenly Tao together. What joy! I fear you all only need to experience the feeling of becoming the heavenly Tao once to get hooked. I am not going to waste more time. Let us go in. Seeing Wang Lin and the others take out their tokens, Zhang Jingyun and company immediately flew in while surrounding Wang Lin's group. The moment they entered the formation, it shined brightly and formed a storm that could tear the world apart. Everyone disappeared within this formation. The world rumbled. On one of the worlds in the 7 million worlds, there was an endless storm. Thunder rumbled and rain fell from the sky. There was a mortal city on the ground. It was night and rain was falling. There weren't many people walking outside. However, on the top of a mountain in the distance stood a person. This person had a head of white hair, and his eyes were like lightning. He was like the sun in this windy and rainy night. He stood upright, and his body gave off peak soul formation cultivation. His white hair flowed in the wind while his clothes flapped noisily. Yu Bei began cultivating at the age of 7. I was enlightened in the changes of the world and observed the wind and clouds. I reached the soul formation stage at age 372, and now, after more than 500 years, I have the peak of the soul formation stage. Today, I am going to break this world to welcome divine retribution and enter the celestial realm. The old man's voice was gentle, as if he was talking to himself, but his head was facing the sky as if he was roaring at the heavens. If I fail this divine retribution, then I'll reincarnate and cultivate again. If I succeed, I'll wait for you at the celestial realm. The old man's eyes lit up as he waved his sleeve and a thunderous rumble echoed. The thunder suddenly lit up the dark world, revealing thousands of cultivators around the mountain. They all looked excitedly, with feverish gazes, at the old man on top of the mountain. They were all disciples and descendants of this old man. Become a celestial. Become a celestial. I, Liu Bei, will become a celestial. If the heavens try to stop me, then I'll destroy the heavens. If celestials try to stop me, I'll slay the celestials. The old man roared as he charged at the sky. At the same time, the world rumbled, and the clouds scattered. Divine retribution clouds began to gather, and as the wind howled, large amounts of divine retribution clouds formed. There were more than 10 silhouettes inside the divine retribution clouds. These silhouettes shined brightly, releasing waves of celestial spiritual energy. At first glance, they looked like real celestials. The space behind the 10 silhouettes seemed to distort, and then revealed a magnificent continent behind it. It was filled with celestial spiritual energy, with countless celestial cranes flying, and palaces filled the land. Celestial realm. That's the celestial realm. Ancestor's divine retribution made more than 10 celestials appear. This is auspicious. Auspicious. The thousands of cultivators around the mountain widened their eyes and became excited. This was the first time they had seen something like this. When they saw this, their desire to become celestials increased greatly. The moment the divine retribution appeared, a powerful pressure appeared and caused the mountain to tremble. The thousands of cultivators were immediately pushed more than 5 kilometers away. Wang Lin was one of the shadows. Staring at the ground, he felt extremely strong. Others might even have felt excited. After all, becoming the heavens and becoming divine retribution was something most cultivators would be immersed in. It was a feeling they didn't want to lose. However, Wang Lin had personally experienced divine retribution, and not just once but many times. This was something most cultivators couldn't comprehend. What he had experienced was exactly the same as what the old man was facing. But it was even wider ranged and more powerful. A terrifying feeling appeared in Wang Lin's heart, causing him to be unable to be immersed in his excitement. In accordance with convention, as long as the formation is active, we will encounter people experiencing divine retribution. This time, don't fight with me. Just let me do this. Zhang Jingyun revealed excitement and immediately clasped his hands at the people around him. Okay, we'll let Brother Zhang go. The rest all laughed and nodded. Zhang Jingyun became even more excited as he stepped forward and became covered in a crystal light. He stepped out of the clouds and appeared below the divine retribution clouds. At this moment, he was surrounded in celestial spiritual energy. Anyone who saw him would feel like worshipping him. He raised his right hand and pointed at the old man below. His words were like thunder. Lower realm cultivator, survive divine retribution to ascend to a celestial. As Zhang Jingyun's words echoed, a bolt of thunder shot out from the clouds. The old man named Liu Bei stared dumbfoundedly at the more than 10 silhouettes in the divine retribution clouds and felt his scalp go numb. He didn't expect his divine retribution to attract so many celestials. However, similarly, a sense of pride filled his heart. He let out a roar as he displayed his full cultivation and shot toward the divine retribution. The thunderous rumble was heaven shaking, causing the world to tremble and the rain to scatter. After the thunder disappeared, the old man had a pale face. Several treasures before him all shattered. However, he didn't despair. His eyes revealed an indomitable gaze. His hands formed a seal as he roared and placed down a large amount of protection to prepare for the second divine retribution. As Wang Lin stared at all of this, his mind trembled. He couldn't calm down for a long time. At this moment, a young man in black, who was one of the newcomers, asked fellow cultivator, why not kill him directly with just one divine retribution instead of gradually increasing its power? The moment this question was asked, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. The divine retribution he had experienced was also like this. The first hit often wasn't too strong, and they gradually grew stronger. Before Wang Lin entered this 7 million worlds, this question didn't appear in Wang Lin's mind. He thought it was just how it should be. However, now this doubt rushed into Wang Lin's mind like a ray of lightning. The heavens are virtuous. Even though they in danger, it gives them a glimmer of hope. Divine retribution lightning is only to hone the lower realm cultivators, so launching the bolts one by one can make them truly feel the might of heavens before they are destroyed. Of course, this is all nonsense, the clan says. But the true reason for making the divine retribution grow stronger gradually is to force the struggle and indominate will out from the lower realm cultivators. Only by doing this can mysterious spiritual thunder be born in their body. The cultivator named Zhou slowly said. These words had a different meaning in Wang Lin's ears. He closed his eyes, and a huge wave was set off in his mind. He vaguely understood something. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the second, third, fourth, and fifth divine retributions lashed out under Zhang Jingyun's control. At this moment, he had a twisted expression, and was filled with endless excitement. The feeling he was currently experiencing was 1,000 times, 10,000 times more comfortable than dual cultivation. I am the heavenly Tao, and I command thunder. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Before the divine retribution, the old man coughed out blood and his body was a bloody mess. Despair gradually appeared in his eyes. At this moment, the sixth divine retribution descended. The sixth divine retribution was dozens of feet wide, and it even caused the earth to tremble violently, as if it was going to collapse. It suddenly descended as the old man struggled to let out the last roar in his life. I want to become a celestial. His voice was heaven-shaking, and it entered Wang Lin's ears, causing him to open his eyes. Thunderous rumbles echoed when the sixth bolt of heavenly thunder fell. The old man's body collapsed and his soul was destroyed. Fans celebrating the new year, please join the VIDEEO fan battle team. If you need to complete a mission, Leo can praise everyone in the chapter narration. Chapter 1341. I am divine retribution. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the thousands of cultivators that were pushed away let out mournful cries. They looked at the sky with stunned expressions and were speechless for a very long time. The divine retribution clouds gradually disappeared. Zhang Jingyun looked like he hadn't had enough. Sorry, I haven't become divine retribution for a long time, and went a bit too far. As a pity, he cultivated all the way to the peak of the soul formation stage. But he is simply too trash for not giving birth to any spiritual thunder. Zhang Jingyun shook his head and was still savoring the feeling. No harm. There are many opportunities in the 7 million worlds, and the birth of spiritual thunder is not easy. There will be opportunities later. Let us first deal with these newcomers. The cultivator named Zhou indifferently waved his right hand so the divine retribution clouds blocked them from view. Then he coldly looked at Wang Lin and company. It was not only him. Aside from the illusory yin cultivator who was sitting on the side with his eyes closed, the four other people, including Zhang Jingyun, surrounded Wang Lin's group. All the expressions of some of the newcomers changed, and some of them immediately roared in anger. We have no grudges with you all. What is the meaning of this? We are all from the same clan. What are you going to do? Do it. The cultivator named Zhao sneered and moved forward. His hand moved, forming two thunder whips. He didn't attack Wang Lin, but two others. The other three also attacked at the same time. They were all mid-stage ascendant cultivators who had worked together many times. They immediately began a slaughter. Miserable screams echoed. The cultivator named Zhou was extremely vicious. He had chosen two people who had just reached the soul transformation stage. These two people weren't able to resist at all and immediately died. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and a foul smell spread. The person who attacked Wang Lin was the previously gentle-looking Zhang Jingyun. He seemed to not have recovered from being divine retribution, and there was contempt in his eyes. He haughtily formed a seal and created thunder similar to divine retribution. Lower realm ant, hand over your spiritual thunder and die for me. There was a sense of pleasure in his twisted expression as he charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained calm, and he reached out with his right hand. The twisted expression Zhang Jingyun had immediately collapsed, and his face turned pale. Disbelief filled his eyes and his body froze in the air as if there was a big hand holding him. His voice was trembling as he looked at Wang Lin with terror. Before he could speak, an impact that made him lose his wits rushed into his body. His body trembled and he let out a miserable scream that entered the ears of the surrounding cultivators. Pretending to be the heavenly Tao and delivering divine retribution upon others. But right now, I am your heavenly Tao, I am your divine retribution. Wang Lin's voice was cold and contained an inexplicable feeling as he mercilessly squeezed. With a bang, Zhang Jingyun's flesh collapsed into a pile of flesh and blood. Just like the old man, his body collapsed and his soul was destroyed. This sudden change shook the minds of the surrounding cultivators. This was especially true for the 3 people who accompanied Zhang Jingyun. They had just killed all the newcomers and had taken the stuff from their marks. Zhang Jingyun's miserable scream and Wang Lin's indifferent words caused their eyes to overflow monstrous fear. Zhang Jingyun thought that he had invited a lamb, but the price of death told him that Wang Lin wasn't a lamb, but a fierce wolf from the inner realm. That illusory yin cultivator suddenly opened his eyes. He was filled with disbelief, and his body trembled. When Wang Lin killed, he clearly felt Wang Lin's suffocating power. He couldn't even raise any will to resist this powerful aura. His scalp was numb, and a huge wave was set off in his mind. He didn't hesitate to try to escape. However, his footsteps trembled when Wang Lin's indifferent gaze swept past him. His mind trembled as if thunder had exploded in his brain, and he coughed out blood. Who gave you permission to escape? Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, but this sentence caused the illusory yin cultivator's origin soul to tremble, and he coughed out blood once more. He no longer dared to escape. At the same time, the 3 ascendant cultivators, along with the cultivator named Zhou, trembled and retreated like crazy. They were going to leave this place that terrified them. However, what awaited them were Wang Lin's red eyes. A bolt of red lightning shot out from his eyes. G-Realm. Most of the G-Realm was in Wang Lin's original body, and only a very small amount had come with his divine sense. However, he still used it because the G-Realm was divine retribution. Since I am divine retribution, I'll naturally use divine retribution to destroy you all. The red lightning shot out directly toward a cultivator. His eyes became filled with red light and he let out a miserable cry. In a flash, it broke through his body and destroyed everything. His body collapsed just like the old man who died to the divine retribution. To think of yourself as the heavenly Tao, what nonsense. If you re-heavenly Tao, then I am the divine retribution that will exterminate the heavens. As Wang Lin spoke, the red lightning pierced through the first cultivator and charged toward the second cultivator. This cultivator's eyes were filled with terror as he hit the mark between his eyebrows and took out all his treasures. There was madness in his eyes as he chose to self-destruct. However, not even Master Zhou Tian could self-destruct before Wang Lin, much less this little ascendant cultivator. The moment he took out his treasures, they all shattered before the G-Realm lightning. Even his body that was going to explode was like a flame that was extinguished by water when the red lightning hit him. His body trembled, blood flowed out from his orifices, his body was destroyed, and his origin soul shattered. All of this happened in a flash. Killing these people didn't take Wang Lin any effort. Mere ascendant cultivators dared to compare themselves to heavenly Tao. This will be the root of the Scatter Thunder clan's end. Wang Lin turned around to look at the illusory yin cultivator after he spoke. He didn't even look at the last ascendant cultivator named Zhou while he was destroyed by the G-Realm. It's your turn next. As Wang Lin spoke, the G-Realm that had killed 3 cultivators suddenly turned around and instantly entered the body of the illusory yin cultivator. His eyes became dim and his origin soul died. However, his body wasn't destroyed and fell to the ground. However, the clan mark was taken away by Wang Lin when the body fell on the ground. The thousands of cultivators in sorrow immediately saw a scene that they could never forget. A body that gave off celestial spiritual energy, the body of a celestial. A celestial that was just standing within the divine retribution clouds fell from the sky. It was as if veils were lifted and the celestial spiritual energy surrounding the body disappeared. This corpse was just like them. This wasn't a celestial. It was a cultivator. There was a bloody mark between the eyebrows of the corpse that fell on the earth. There was still thick fear in the corpse's eyes. Wang Lin walked out from the divine retribution clouds, and coldly looked at those below him as he said, "That is your celestial." Then he took a step and disappeared from the world. However, his figure was forever imprinted in the hearts of those cultivators. Even after Wang Lin had been gone for a long time, these cultivators still hadn't recovered from the shock. Today they had not only seen their ancestor get destroyed by divine retribution, but also watched the corpse of a celestial fall. They also saw the one who was powerful enough to kill a celestial and heard his words filled with mockery. But, even more so, those words were filled with self-deprecation. These cultivators arrived next to the corpse and stared at it. "Is this a celestial? Why do I feel like this person is the same as us, a cultivator? Just stronger than us." After a long time, the thousands of cultivators awakened from their shock when a soft voice echoed across the world and entered their ears. "Can I take this body away?" As the voice echoed, a young man appeared. He had no hair and his face was filled with kindness. He stepped out from the void and arrived next to the body. An old man at the late stage of nascent soul was shocked, and he hesitantly said, "You read Taoist scattered spirit. If you want, I can be anyone in the million worlds. If you want it, I am." The bald youth smiled and ignored them. His hand reached out at the corpse and took it with him as he walked into the void. His eyes landed in the direction Wang Lin went to and revealed a strange light. He is different from those people who call themselves divine retribution. Perhaps he is not a thunder slave. The youth pondered and disappeared from the world. He was beyond the soul formation stage, beyond ascendant. He was at the nirvana cleanser stage. This kind of thing should be impossible in the million worlds. It should never happen. If the Scatter Thunder Clan knew of this, it would set off a huge wave inside the Scatter Thunder Clan. Even the ancestor would leave his closed-door cultivation to check out the situation. At the same time, on the planet Wang Lin was on, Shu Ligo was happily gathering resources with thousands of people. His throne was now nearly 10,000 feet wide, and it was filled with beautiful female cultivators. There was one woman who was extremely stunning. She was coldly sitting there and staring at Shu Liguo with hatred in her eyes. "You a mere treasure spirit, yet dare to capture me. You have caused a calamity to fall upon you. Not only you, but even your master will be killed. No matter who your master is, no matter what your master's identity is in the clan, you will both die." It's time to double the likes for the VIDEO. Wishing for more likes for the VIDEO. Chapter 1342. The Path of a Powerful Thunder Cultivator. There were 7 million worlds here, making this place seem boundless. But the Scatter Thunder Clan members didn't need to blindly search. Whenever someone was about to go through their divine retribution, the charm the Scatter Thunder Clan members were holding would detect it. Then the nearest Scatter Thunder Clan cultivator would be teleported over and be transformed into the heavens. As Wang Lin moved through the million worlds and looked at the planets, a complicated feeling arose in his heart. His expression gloomy as he looked at this world that couldn't be distinguished from the real world. After a long time, he let out a sigh. Then he flipped his right hand and more than 10 Scatter Thunder Clan marks appeared in his grasp. After crushing all of them, a large amount of items that could be used to exchange for thunder crystals erupted forth. After putting them all away, Wang Lin looked at the thunder remaining from the marks. They were all incomplete traces of spiritual thunder. They had all been gathered by Zhang Jingyun and the others over the countless years, by murdering newcomers to the million worlds. There were nearly 1,000 of them, and once combined they would form a complete bolt of spiritual thunder. As Wang Lin waved his hand, the nearly 1,000 strands of spiritual thunder began to fuse, and eventually there was only one remaining. From afar it no looked longer thunder, but ball of smoke. There were countless faces inside it, and it was rapidly changing. Although it looked like it had nothing to do with thunder, there was a strange thunder force within. It was completely different from the thunder Wang Lin cultivated. But the moment it appeared, the thunder in Wang Lin's right eye flashed rapidly. The smoke ball trembled and charged toward Wang Lin's right eye. It immediately entered his right eye and went into his origin soul. It merged with the thunder inside Wang Lin's origin soul. Thunder rumbled like crazy inside Wang Lin's body, and his hair moved without any wind. His body gave off endless thunder, and he was as bright as the sun, but with thunder scattering in all directions. The moment the two thunders fused, thunderous rumbles echoed inside his origin soul. The memory fragments that seemed to come from ancient times erupted from the thunder inside his origin soul. This large amount of memory was like a storm sweeping across Wang Lin's origin soul. This caused his body to rumble, and the world before him seemed to be split open by thunder. A clear image of the world appeared clearly before Wang Lin. This was the inheritance of the thunder essences that had been there since the birth of thunder. The memory was contained inside the thunder essences and was rarely ever opened. Today, when Wang Lin absorbed a complete spiritual thunderbolt, a gap opened and some of the memories leaked out. There was a bolt of endless thunder appearing from the void in the image. This thunder contained a powerful aura of essence, and surrounding it were 9 different kinds of thunder. Together, they formed a strange pattern. The thunder essence was at the center, and the 9 other thunders were accompanying it. When they rotated, they seemed to form their own world and gave off a sense of perfection. This was the real thunder essence. An ancient voice broke through time and echoed inside Wang Lin's ears. This voice felt very ancient, as if it was the sound of heaven itself. 9 thunders is the limit. They were formed with the birth of thunder essence. Above 9 is 10, and 10 is perfection. Thunder essence reached completion. The moment he heard the voice, Wang Lin's origin soul rumbled, then everything before him collapsed and he recovered. He was still in the million worlds, and everything was still dark with bursts of light. However, he was now covered in sweat and his eyes were filled with shock. There was originally only 1 thunder mark in his right eye, but now there was hint of a second one. Only it was a bit smaller. That smaller bolt of thunder orbited the original thunderbolt inside Wang Lin's right eye. Every time it rotated once, it would cause Wang Lin's thunder origin to grow slightly. A deeper understanding of thunder filled Wang Lin's mind. After a long time, the shock Wang Lin was feeling died down and his eyes lit up. Everything became more clear. The Scatter Thunder clan said that thunder is split into 6 types, but even they don't know that it's not 6, but 9. These 9 thunders all accompanied the thunder essence in a way, and complete thunder had 10 different types. My thunder origin has already appeared, and is on the same level of existence as the eternal thunderbolt in the Scatter Thunder clan, and it is also a thunder essence. I can strengthen my thunder essence by absorbing it, and if I can find the other accompanying thunders, my thunder origin will be complete. I can even break through the 2nd step cultivation and become a 3rd step cultivator with this thunder essence. Right now, I have already absorbed the spiritual thunder. There are 8 more. Wang Lin had never been as clear about the future of his cultivation as now. The sliver of memory from his thunder essence had opened the door for him. It could be said that if not for the Scatter Thunder clan, Wang Lin could have never come to the million worlds and most likely would not have discovered the truth about thunder. The Scatter Thunder clan indirectly gave Wang Lin a great fortune. The thunder in Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and with a thought, the thunder in his right eye flew out and started floating before him. The thunder essence was filled with life, and there was a smaller bolt thunder around it. This was very familiar to what he saw. The only difference was that it lacked the other 8 accompanying thunders. It was a pity that the only accompanying thunder was too weak. Although it was there was only a trace of it. His right eye flashed, and the incomplete thunder essence immediately returned to his right eye. He muttered, "I am not willing to kill people going through their divine retribution, but I can kill the Scatter Thunder clan members and obtain it from them." As he sneered, Wang Lin disappeared. His divine sense spread out as a ripple and a nightmare began in the million worlds. There were a few Scatter Thunder clan members moving through space. The one with the lowest cultivation was at the ascendant stage and the highest at corporeal yang. They were paying attention to their tokens and would immediately head over if they detected anything. This spiritual thunder is extremely difficult to collect. We have already killed 4 lower realm cultivators, but none of them gave birth to spiritual thunder. No rush. This relies on luck. If no spiritual thunder appears, then we can just steal from others. The corporeal yang cultivator was filled with arrogance as he spoke. The surrounding cultivators immediately began to flatter him. Just at this moment, an ascendant cultivator became puzzled and pointed ahead, saying, "Everyone, do you all see this? I have never seen it in the million worlds before." Before he could finish speaking, a thunderous rumble came from where he pointed. It got closer and attracted the attention of everyone else. The corporeal yang cultivator's eyes widened and became filled with terror. A thunderstorm more than 100,000 feet wide was raging before them. Before it even got close, they could already see the endless lightning bolts that were like little silver snakes moving along the edge. The sound of the thunder was earth-shattering. What is this? Escape! These cultivators immediately became pale. They felt their scalps go numb and were going to retreat. A few smart ones were going to teleport away. The corporeal Yang cultivator was one of them. However, they were too slow. In an instant, the thunderstorm suddenly sped up and surrounded them. Even the corporeal Yang cultivator was forced out from teleportation and was sucked into the thunderstorm. The scream seemed insignificant compared to the sound of the thunder. The cultivators all died. The storm swept across the stars, and a huge face vaguely revealed itself within the storm. It was Wang Lin. His face was hidden inside the storm as it swept forward. None of the Scatter Thunder clan members were able to escape death before this thunderstorm. A Nirvana Scryer old man of the Scatter Thunder clan was moving along across space. However, at this instant, his body trembled and he suddenly turned. His pupils shrank and disbelief filled his eyes. Before he could escape, the thunderstorm swept by and swallowed him as it continued moving forward. As Wang Lin began a slaughter, neither Yin and Yang or Nirvana Scryer cultivators were able to resist the thunderstorm at all and were all devoured. In just a few days, almost 1,000 cultivators had been killed by Wang Lin, and everything within their marks belonged to Wang Lin. He had also obtained 4 complete spiritual thunderbolts from them. These spiritual thunderbolts were all absorbed by his right eye and continued to grow. On the 4th day after Wang Lin's thunderstorm engulfed 3 Nirvana Scryer cultivators. His token that indicated that there was someone going through divine retribution began to tremble just as he was about to move. However, the trembling stopped in a flash as someone else had already gone before Wang Lin. The thunderstorm shrunk like crazy and formed a powerful vortex, and Wang Lin walked out of the vortex. His eyes lit up as he walked forward with the token in hand and disappeared. As usual, 2 chapters at noon, about 10 minutes apart, and 2 more at 8 in the evening, 10 minutes apart. If anything comes up, the other will be informed. Longing for the like button for the video. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1343, Bait. The snow fell like goose feathers and covered the earth, layer by layer. The entire world was white. There was even a dense layer of snow covering the vegetation, and layers of ice reflected the sunlight. The snow pressing down on the tree branches gave off a shocking feeling, as if the branches could break at any moment. It was currently morning, and smoke gradually arose from the mortal village. The smoke drifted into the air in an attempt to color the snow gray, but was shattered by the falling snow and the cold wind. Sounds of dogs barking came from the city or village. A new day had arrived. The rising sun in the distance was a lot less warm in this cold winter. It lazily released sunlight, but there was no heat. There was a plain to the east of this world. This plain was covered in grass in the summer, so mortals liked to graze their animals here. Lying down on the grass and looking at the blue sky was very pleasant. However, there was no grass in sight, only white. Due to the sunlight reflecting off the white snow, if you looked at it for too long, your eyes would hurt from the endless white snow. In the winter, no mortals would come here, so there were no footprints. However, today there was a person sitting alone in the snow. This person was a handsome middle-aged man who looked very upright. He calmly looked at the sky with a hint of complication in his eyes. My cultivation, I can suppress it anymore. The man sighed and looked nostalgically around at the white snow around him, while he silently waited for divine retribution to arrive. Not long after, the world rumbled, and the snowflakes suddenly collapsed. A wild wind appeared in the sky and swept all the snow away. This wind also blew away the thick snow that had gathered on the plain around the middle-aged man. The snow was pushed apart like the ocean waves, revealing the bare earth below. The bare earth was even more eye-catching than the surrounding snow. At the same time, divine retribution clouds appeared and quickly gathered. There seemed to be a person standing inside. This person gave off dense celestial spiritual energy and released a majestic aura. Lower realm cultivator, withstand divine retribution and become a celestial. The mighty voice roared like thunder from the clouds. However, when it fell in the ears of the middle-aged man below, it didn't cause his expression to change at all. The middle-aged man patted his clothes and stood up, looking at the clouds. He looked at the clouds with a complicated and extremely mocking gaze. Become a celestial? The mockery in his voice became even stronger. As he mocked, the thunder in the sky rumbled. The celestial in the clouds raised his hand and the clouds rumbled. A bolt of thunder that could split the world descended on the man. This middle-aged man remained motionless, and the moment it fell, he raised his right hand. The thunder fell on him, and after a thunderous rumble, the thunder dissipated. The middle-aged man's face was pale, but his head was still high. He saw the celestial in the clouds raise his right hand once more, and thunderous rumbles echoed. The second divine retribution was brewing, and it appeared a moment later. However, just at this moment, a shocking change occurred. The sky was originally covered in endless divine retribution clouds, but at this moment a force suddenly appeared. It formed a pair of giant hands that penetrated the clouds and tore them apart. The resulting thunderous rumble was even louder, and the divine retribution clouds were ripped open, revealing a gap. A young man in white walked out of the gap. The moment this young man appeared, the expression of the celestial changed greatly, and he roared, "Who are you?" "This old man was here first. I am your divine retribution. I am here to destroy the heavenly Tao and collect the spiritual thunder." Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the divine retribution clouds in the sky. Thunderous rumble echoed and the old man in the clouds trembled. The thunder inside his body rumbled outside of his control and his expression changed. However, he didn't escape but unexpectedly charged out of the cloud with a ferocious expression. His hands formed a seal and he spat out a thunder bead that shot toward Wang Lin. Arrogant to the extreme, the old man was very fast and rapidly closed in. He gave off the aura of a late-stage Nirvana scryer cultivator. It seemed like he was about to break into the Nirvana cleanser stage. The thunder bead contained endless thunder. It was a treasure composed of 5 spiritual thunderbolts. The bead was charging at Wang Lin with earth-shattering power. "I'll take this bead." Wang Lin calmly walked forward. With one step, he disappeared instantly and then suddenly appeared behind the old man. Without even turning around, he casually pointed behind him, his point landing on the back of the old man's head. The old man's face immediately turned pale and monstrous fear filled his eyes. He coughed out blood, and his body trembled as red bloodlines appeared on his head and spread across his body. His body collapsed. High origin soul was destroyed, and his mark was taken. Wang Lin's left hand held the bead containing 5 spiritual thunderbolts. Killing this old man had taken him no effort. His left hand crushed the bead and the 5 spiritual thunderbolts were quickly absorbed by his right eye. They then started rotating within his right pupil. This gave Wang Lin a demonic look. All of this happened too fast. It only took an instant. The middle-aged man was still in shock and hadn't recovered. Wang Lin's right eye had absorbed all 5 spiritual thunderbolts. He floated in the air as he slowly said, "You, spread out all your cultivation and continue your divine retribution." The middle-aged man took a deep breath as he suppressed the uneasiness in his heart and looked profoundly at Wang Lin. He spread out his full cultivation and his peak soul formation cultivation filled the world. After 10 breaths of time, more thunder came from the divine retribution clouds in the sky. Another gap was opened in the sky, and a person walked out. "Haha, I finally met someone going through divine retribution." The man that came out of the gap immediately laughed wildly. However, before his laughter was over, Wang Lin waved his right hand. The person who had just arrived didn't even see everything clearly before his body exploded. The middle-aged man who was going through divine retribution felt his scalp tingle. No matter how dumbfounded he was at this moment, he realized that he had become bait for this young man in white. He can instantly kill celestials. Time passed. Soon, another person walked out of the gap. This person was very cautious and quickly placed large amounts of protection around himself after he appeared. However, with a wave of Wang Lin's hand, all of that protection collapsed along with his body. The cultivator let out a miserable scream and was killed. In just 15 short minutes, more than a dozen Scatter Thunder Clan members had appeared with the middle-aged man as bait. However, without exception, they were all killed the moment they appeared. The middle-aged man going through divine retribution was already numb, and the terror in his heart became stronger and stronger. He let out a wry smile and simply decided to stop looking and close his eyes. This method was much faster than hunting them. After another half hour, almost 100 people had been killed by Wang Lin. A Nirvana Shatterer cultivator finally came. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he smiled as he looked at the old man walking out of the gap in the divine retribution clouds covered in thunder. This old man was wearing black and gave off a powerful sense of majesty. As soon as he appeared, his expression changed and he looked down. He immediately saw Wang Lin and smelled the scent of blood that filled the world. The old man's expression became serious and he revealed killing intent. He unexpectedly didn't retreat but charged at Wang Lin. His hands formed seals and he pointed at the void. To use this method to kill your own clan, you deserve to die, the old man roared as he turned into a bolt of thunder and charged at Wang Lin. At the same time, a shadow appeared, and that shadow was also the old man. At this moment, his body split into two. One charged at Wang Lin and the other retreated like crazy. It used teleportation and was about to escape. Wang Lin's expression was calm. This Scatter Thunder Clan Nirvana Shatterer cultivator was a decisive person. He had thought of destroying an avatar as the cost of escaping in such a short period of time. Wang Lin was, after all, not in his original body. If not for his G realm, it would have been difficult to keep this old man from escaping with just his Nirvana Shatterer cultivation. His eyes flashed red and his G realm flew out. It turned into red lightning and immediately penetrated the old man's avatar that was blocking him. The avatar trembled and its eyes dimmed before it collapsed. The red lightning charged out from the avatar and charged into the old man's body right before he could teleport away. The old man coughed out blood and monstrous fear filled his eyes. However, a moment later, his origin soul was destroyed and he died. His body fell from the air and his mark was taken. How much longer are you going to hide? Wang Lin's expression was calm. After killing the Nirvana Shatterer cultivator, he looked into the distance. The G-realm red lightning pointed at that direction and crackled, ready to shot out at any moment. Ripples appeared in the sky. The bald young man that had taken the body and was called Master Scattered Spirited by the people of the Million Worlds appeared. Wang Lin calmly looked at the bold youth and slowly said, "You have been following me until today. I'll only give you one sentence to explain. If your re-explanation doesn't satisfy me, you will die." Mid-month already, brothers. Do you have likes for the VIDE already? Don't hold back wishing for those likes. Chapter 1344. Taoist Scattered Spirit. The bald youth revealed a smile, but hidden deep within his eyes was a solemn gaze. There was a faint hint of horror in his gaze when he looked at Wang Lin. He had followed Wang Lin and personally witnessed everything Wang Lin had done. He had also watched Wang Lin use that cultivator as bait and kill almost 100 people in just half an hour. What shocked him the most was that powerful Nirvana Shatterer cultivator couldn't even endure one blow. What is his cultivation level? The shock from all of this set off a huge wave in the bald youth. But compared to all of this, the fact Wang Lin had pointed him out was even more shocking. From Wang Lin's words, Wang Lin had long known that he had been following him. This was beyond his expectations. Although his cultivation level wasn't at the peak, his hiding technique, which he had inherited from countless years ago, was at the peak. None of the previous Celestials could detect him as he moved through the million worlds, not even ones with higher cultivation levels. Even when a fourth heaven-s blight cultivator came, the bald youth was able to comfortably follow that person without being detected at all. At this moment, his mouth was dry. The red lightning bolt before him gave him the strongest crisis in his life. Every time the lightning flickered, he felt his skin crawl. He knew he couldn't dodge the lightning. As long as the lightning moved, he would without a doubt die. Wang Lin's cold and calm words were like an invisible sword that penetrated his mind and brought him endless chills. The surroundings were completely silent aside from the thunderous rumbles from the divine retribution clouds and the sweat dripping from the bald youth's face. Wang Lin looked at the bald youth, and after a few moments of silence, he frowned. Seeing Wang Lin frown, the bald youth's mind trembled. He quickly clasped his hands and said, "Celestial, please don't be angry. This lower realm resident is called Scattered Spirit. I meant no harm. Please." Before he could finish speaking, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the red lightning bolt shot out at the bald youth at an unimaginable speed. The bald youth only saw a blinding red light, and the red lightning bolt penetrated the spot between his eyebrows. The bald youth's body trembled and he coughed out blood, but he didn't die. A powerful aura suddenly charged out from between his eyebrows, forming an aura around him. His cultivation suddenly spread out and an earth-shattering ancient aura appeared. It was as if there was a heaven-shaking soul sleeping inside this person. This person was so extremely strong that not even the G-realm could instantly kill him. Sure enough, as I expected, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he stepped forward and reached toward the youth. The eyes of the bald youth surrounded by the aura suddenly became clearer and older. The moment Wang Lin closed in, he softly said, "If fellow cultivators still want spiritual thunder, please listen to me." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he stopped in the air, coldly looking at the youth. Before, this person's eyes showed immaturity, but now it seemed as if this person's eyes contained countless years of experience. The bald youth slowly said, "This old man's name is Scattered Spirit. I have lived for tens of thousands of years. I have reached the fourth heaven's blight. This old man has 971 avatars like this one before fellow cultivator, and each of them contains my will. With these avatars, I can move through space like the Scatter Thunder Clan cultivators and not be noticed by anyone. I secretly followed fellow cultivator without malice, but I wanted to ask for help and make a deal. If fellow cultivator is interested, it would benefit both of us," the bald young man slowly said as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained calm and slowly said, "You know the Scatter Thunder Clan?" The bald young man revealed a complicated expression and nodded. "Can fellow cultivator follow me somewhere? I'll tell you everything on the way." Wang Lin revealed no emotion and calmly asked, "What place?" The end of the world. The bald youth let out a sigh and waved his right hand. The divine retribution clouds immediately dissipated, and at the same time a rune flashed inside his hand. It flew toward the man in a daze down below and landed between his eyebrows. This caused his cultivation to immediately be hidden, preventing him from causing divine retribution anymore. After doing all of this, the aura around the bald youth withdrew into his body and he clasped his hands at Wang Lin. He then turned around and stepped into the void. He unexpectedly broke through the void and left this world. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he also stepped forward. He broke through the void along with the bald youth. This old man reached the soul formation stage and comprehended the heavens at 100 years of age. After viewing several divine retributions, I realized that the so-called celestials were not like what the ancestor told us because of this doubt. I had suppressed my cultivation to not reach the peak of the soul formation stage. Instead, I secretly looked for the answer. The bald youth walked in front, and with every step, he broke through a world as he walked into the distance in the 7 million worlds. Wang Lin had a calm expression as he moved with him through the million worlds. At this moment, mortal capitals, parts of space, and even the spring rain and autumn wind flashed around them constantly. Unfortunately, although my talent is quite good, I could no longer suppress my cultivation. When I was 200 years old, I could no longer suppress it, so I triggered the divine retribution. The celestial that came was the Scatter Thunder Clan's current head elder. His cultivation level at that time was only Nirvana Scryer. I was seriously injured and was on the verge of death, so I simply couldn't resist, however, instead of killing me. He wasted my cultivation and left. I originally thought that the heavens were merciful, and it wasn't until many years later that I realized that he had allowed me to live so there was a chance I keep cultivating. Thus there would be another chance to give birth to spiritual thunder. The bald young man's voice was bitter. However, he didn't expect that not only would I rebuild my cultivation, but during that divine retribution, I had comprehended the changes of the world. I borrowed the existence of the 7 million worlds to suppress my cultivation, and also came up with a method of allowing my cultivation to become stronger without causing divine retribution. As the bald young man spoke, his eyes were filled with reminiscence. Wang Lin looked at him and calmly said, "Scattering yourself amidst all the avatars." The bald young man nodded. I used the scattered spirit technique to pass into others my cultivation beyond the soul formation stage, and after 1,000 years I reached the ascendant stage. I had 971 avatars. 971 was the limit of scattered spirit technique, and it couldn't be surpassed, so I found a way around it. Each of the avatars act as a main body and once more use the scattered spirit technique. Each of my 971 avatars have 971 avatars of their own. With this constant cycle, my cultivation level slowly grew, until I reached the Nirvana Scryer stage. When the bald young man got here, he let out a sigh. He and Wang Lin were both powerful cultivators. They had broken through the worlds as they walked and moved further and further away. After I reached the Nirvana cleanser stage, I began to pursue the doubt I had years ago. I wanted to know if this heaven was really the heavens, if this earth was really the earth, if this celestial realm was really the celestial realm. I wanted to pursue the legend that had been passed down since ancient times from our ancestors, their depiction and craving for the celestial realm. However, although I had reached the Nirvana cleanser and had powerful cultivation, I could not leave the million worlds. I could only travel within it, and there was an invisible barrier I couldn't break with my cultivation. Thus, I came up with the method of controlling my countless avatars to all break through the soul formation stage and trigger divine retribution. At that moment, a small portion of divine retribution was triggered by me. Every time divine retribution appeared, I would observe it from the side, and as time passed, I gradually understood something. At the same time, I was shocked by what I understood. I couldn't believe that the world I existed in was created by someone else. I couldn't believe that I was viewed as an ant by others and only existed for them to collect its spiritual thunder. Wang Lin silently pondered as he listened to the bald youth. There was a complicated expression in his eyes. I am lost and helpless. I told some people about it, but none of them believed me. Even I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it was all true. It would have been better if I had found nothing, and it was all just my own speculation. I spent thousands of years in confusion until one day I saw two celestials fighting. And one of them died and his body fell from the sky. I stood in front of the body for a very long time until the corpse rotted, and until it disappeared completely. After a long time, I laughed until tears flowed out. That corpse wasn't a celestial at all. It was the same as me, a mortal cultivator. From that day onward, I was no longer confused. I told myself that I wanted to break this world. I wanted to go outside and see what was out there. To verify if my speculation was true, the bald youth was filled with excitement. This was the first time he had said this to someone else. I began to cultivate. Every one of my avatars began cultivating scattered spirit as well. Time continued to pass, but the indignation in my heart became stronger and stronger until I reached the Nirvana Shatterer stage. Even my avatars had reached the Nirvana Scryer and Nirvana Cleanser stages. I finally broke through the cage and stepped into the starry sky. Mid-month and it's been forgotten. Hoping for the like button for the video, tears start to flow. Is there still time? Chapter National Migration. However, when he was chasing Sun Yukai and met the fire beasts, the devil managed to run away. After Wang Lin came out of the volcano, he used his divine sense to chase after the devil. After devouring so many mortals, the devil had recovered its cultivation level to the peak of the foundation establishment stage and entered the pseudo-core formation stage. He believed that he was already stronger than Wang Lin, so he attacked. Wang Lin's gaze became cold as red lightning surged from his eyes. The devil suddenly let out a scream as the lightning struck him. He quickly stopped his attack and retreated. How could Wang Lin let him get away? He took one step forward and grabbed the air with his hand. The attraction force technique activated and caught the devil. The devil begged for mercy, but Wang Lin didn't pay any attention as his G-realm divine sense repeatedly pierced through the devil. His control was very good. He always stopped just before the devil was about to collapse. This cycle continued until smoke came from the devil's body. His scream became softer and softer until they stopped altogether. The fear in the devil's eyes deepened even more. After this incident, he truly begun to fear Wang Lin from the bottom of his heart. Wang Lin's cold eyes revealed a ruthless emotion. He stared at the devil and said, "If this happens again, you re-dead." The devil trembled in fear as he meekly nodded. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the piece of metal appeared. The devil didn't even need Wang Lin's order. He entered the piece of metal on his own. The piece of metal flashed red a few times before returning to the bag of holding. Wang Lin looked at the bodies of the people the devil devoured and pondered for a while. His current mentality was night and day compared to how it was back in Zhao. Before, the simple nature of a village boy was still ingrained in Wang Lin's personality, but after the death of his family, that simple nature had disappeared. The cultivation world was where the strong ruled. If he couldn't even protect himself and his family, then what right did he have to show compassion? Situ Nan had always wanted him to walk the demonic path, but Wang Lin always refused it. However, after dying once, he had discarded every reason to refuse it. So what if I become a demon? He let out a cold laugh as he waved his hand and jumped into the air. Wang Lin circled around a volcano in a deserted area of Haofen. After selecting a place, he landed and carved out a cave in the mountain with the piece of metal. After 1 hour, the cave was completed, and Wang Lin walked into it. He used the rubble to place a few confusion formations before sealing the cave entrance. After finishing all of that, he sat down on the ground, pulled out the bags of holding he got from the middle-aged man and Sun Yukai, and searched through them for a while. He took out 3 pieces of jade from them. He placed the first piece of jade on his forehead. After viewing it for a while, he placed it to the side. This one contained a cultivation method from the evil demon sect called No Restraint Cultivation Method. The evil demon sect was one of the demonic sects in Haofen, and their cultivation method would make one's skin crawl. This No Restraint Cultivation Method had 6 levels and focused on ruthlessness. The Jade's instructions were, kill someone, then refine their heart. As you refine their heart, use this experience to transform your own heart into the heart of a killer and walk down the path of ruthlessness. Immerse yourself in the path of ruthlessness to form a Shura soul to replace your nascent soul. Then this cultivation method is complete. There was a strict requirement to cultivating this method at the start, and that was to kill 1 person a day. He guessed that the middle-aged man was cultivating this method, and that this jade came from his bag of holding. Wang Lin didn't have any interest in this cultivation method, but was interested in some of the techniques. Although these demonic techniques were cruel, they were also very practical. He picked up a second jade. Its contents made him smile. There was only 1 technique recorded on this jade. It was named Earth Escape Technique. This Earth Escape Technique was one of the 5 elements escape techniques. Speaking of the 5 elements escape techniques, they were extremely famous techniques even back in the ancient cultivation world. After the cultivation engine appeared, this technique became extremely rare. But the 5-element escape techniques were too famous, and thus countless branches appeared from it. Most of these branches used the name, but they really weren't that much different from any other type of escape techniques. The jade in Wang Lin's hand didn't contain the real 5-element escape technique either. It was slightly more refined than the other imitations. However, just that little refinement created a world of difference. Time slowly passed as he immersed himself in studying the Earth Escape Technique. It wasn't until the morning of the next day that Wang Lin opened his eyes and revealed a look of understanding. Instead of standing up, he hit the ground with both of his hands. His figure suddenly disappeared and reappeared feet away. A look of joy appeared on Wang Lin's face as he couldn't help but mutter, "This Ma Liang's body is much stronger than my previous body. Although it is not top grade, it is still middle grade, so it is not hard to learn this Earth Escape Technique. But I will still need to practice for a long period of time to truly master it." Wang Lin took out the wooden bucket filled with spirit liquid. He drank it all, then began to cultivate. Half an hour later, all of the fatigue from practicing the Earth Escape Technique was gone. He casually picked up the 3rd jade and looked through it. This jade contained recordings of Sun Yukai's daily activities. It seemed Sun Yukai had a habit of keeping a daily log. This jade roughly contained his years of being a cultivator. It also contained information on his complicated relationships with several women. Wang Lin skipped over all these things. What interested him was the summary of all the pills Sun Yukai had taken in the last 10 years. The jade contained information about more than 10 different types of pills, including the effects they would have on the body, amount of spiritual energy given, and how fast they would raise his cultivation level. In addition to these, it contained information on 7 or 8 pills that he really wanted, but could not get his hands on. After that, he looked through the bags of holding for other things. Besides a few bottles of pills, Sun Yukai didn't have any magic treasures. If it was before, Wang Lin would have been suspicious, but after reading his logs, he knew that Sun Yukai traded everything he had for pills to increase his cultivation level. The black-clothed middle-aged man had one thing that caught Wang Lin's attention. It was a yellow paper with a black symbol on it. The symbol released waves of a powerful aura. Wang Lin knew what this yellow paper was as he had owned one before. It was made by a core formation cultivator and contained one of that cultivator's attacks at full power. Wang Lin couldn't help but sneer as he held the yellow paper. If the middle-aged man had been more careful and had taken this out, then he wouldn't have died. But it was obvious that this was the middle-aged man's ace in the hole. He wouldn't use it unless it was absolutely necessary. Unfortunately, he met Wang Lin's G realm. Adding on the fact that he underestimated Wang Lin, He didn't even have time to take out this treasure. Compared to this talisman, nothing else in the bag of holding was worth mentioning. After he finished organizing his spoils, he pointed at his brow, and the heaven-defying bead floated out. Wang Lin let out a bitter smile as he looked at the bead. The heaven-defying bead had already returned to having 5 leaves on its surface. Wang Lin pondered a little. The heaven-defying bead needed to complete all 5 elements to release its true power. Water and fire were done and wood was half completed. He still needed earth and metal to complete all 5 elements. Wang Lin couldn't wait to see what power this heaven-defying bead will have once the 5 elements are complete. Looking at it now, the only ability it had was access to another space. However, how could a treasure that caused planet Suzaku's #1 expert Situnan to lose his body be this simple? Staring at the bead, Wang Lin's eyes trembled. He put it back into his brow. Next, he shook his bag of holding, and a jade flew out. His divine sense entered the jade. This jade contained the refining technique Xianxia had copied for him from the war god shrine. This whole time, Wang Lin hadn't found the time to check the jade. Now he could finally study it in peace. At this moment, the countless volcanoes in Haofen emitted black smoke. The smoke became even denser as it spread spiritual energy filled with rage across Haofen. In addition to all of this, the disciples of the various sects noticed the fire beasts at the mouths of the volcanoes. They were all shocked and used various methods to report the information back to their sects. The 4 major sects were very used to sealing the volcanoes and were very used to the fire beasts. However, only cultivators at the nascent soul level knew about them. At this moment, in the main hall of the war god shrine, there were 4 males and 2 females sitting inside, silently frowning. One of the old men to the left spoke with a grim voice, "What does everyone think of this matter? Senior Brother Song, I have only seen these fire beasts in some old records. The records only say that they are spirit beasts. The descriptions are overly dramatic, but I believe they shouldn't be ignored. However, since they are spirit beasts, I believe they can be tamed. If the 6 of us move, we should be fine. I refuse to believe 6 nascent soul cultivators can deal with mere fire beasts." The person who spoke was a middle-aged man. Although his face was gentle and his voice soft, they were filled with pride. The beautiful woman who met Wang Lin ruthlessly said, "Absurd! Master has met the fire spirit beasts once when they were only at the core formation stage. It is a nature fire spirit, so all fire-based techniques have no use on them. Only ice-based techniques can hold out for a bit. Don't even talk about killing or taming them." The middle-aged man didn't feel embarrassed. He looked at the woman awkwardly and no longer spoke. "This matter is really simple. The fire spirit beasts have existed for a long time, but they never left the volcanoes. I believe there are some natural restrictions preventing them from leaving. I just need to increase the intensity of the seals. Instead of wasting time here talking, we can be doing that right now. I'll go ahead." The person who spoke waved his sleeves, stood up, and walked out. This person was 6 feet tall and with a forehead that extended 3 extra inches forward. Seeing that everyone went silent, the old man named Song said, "Forget it. I hope that the appearance of the fire beast 1 caused the seals to fail. Let us do what we normally do and seal the volcanoes we are responsible for." The same scene happened at the Lu He sect, Evil Demon sect, and Corpse sect. The results were roughly the same, and all of the nascent soul cultivators in Haofen went about sealing the volcanoes. Suddenly, the entire county of Haofen could see various nascent soul cultivators from different sects floating around volcanoes, sealing them. The fluctuations of spiritual energy became more violent in these past few days as well. As they sealed the volcanoes, all of the nascent soul cultivators couldn't help but feel that something was off. Every volcano had countless fire beasts just waiting at their mouths. They didn't stop the sealing or attack the cultivators. They just waited with cold gazes. Their actions gave the feeling that they didn't even mind the seals at all. Gradually, the hearts of the nascent soul cultivators that had joined the sealing became heavier and heavier. Even those that had optimistic views changed their minds. Wang Lin wasn't ignorant to all of this while he was immersed in learning how to refine magic treasures. He knew that the fire beast would appear one day, but he had to wait 10 days for Lin Tao to bring him the map. Only at that moment could he leave. It would be too difficult to find a map after entering another country. There were still 4 days left before the day Wang Lin was supposed to meet Lin Tao. Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense from the jade. Although he was tired, he revealed a joyous expression. The refining technique was very deep and not something he could master in a short period of time. Once he realized that, he focused his attention on refining flying swords. After putting away the jade, he waved his hand and the piece of metal immediately flew out of his bag of holding. It circled around his head once before stopping in front of him. After being used so much recently, the piece of metal had shrunk. The edges were all black, which was caused by all of the high-speed flying. The edges had melted more and more each time he flew. Wang Lin pondered for a while, then closed his hands. When he opened them, there were thin lines of spiritual energy between his hands. This was the first step to the War God Shrine's refining technique. The refining technique from the War God Shrine was different from the traditional refining techniques. It could be said to walk its own path. It didn't involve using fire to refine, placing formations, or mixing materials. Instead, it was a very mysterious system that was like a Pegasus appearing out of thin air. This special system required 3 steps: adjust, fuse, and harmonize. The War God Shrine also required a very important tool called the reaction furnace that was mentioned many times in the jade. The effect of the reaction furnace was to stimulate the various elements of each material. Only after successfully creating a reaction furnace could one be considered to have taken the first step in this refining technique. Both of Wang Lin's hands moved very quickly as the amount of spiritual energy threads between his hands increased. Soon, he formed something like a sheet of cloth made of shining spiritual energy between his hands. Once this thin cloth of spiritual energy was made, he waved his hands and it floated into the air. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he recalled the methods of making the reaction furnace. There was one very difficult requirement, and that was the skull of a spirit beast to use as the body of the furnace. Wang Lin didn't know that just this requirement caused many disciples in the War God Shrine to be stuck forever. Wang Lin took a deep breath and slapped his bag of holding. The corpse of a snake with a head and body that were as thick as a small wooden bucket floated out. This snake came from the bag of holding he got from Shu Hao in the foreign battleground. Wang Lin wasn't sure where he had gotten it, and he didn't really care. But now that he needed to make the reaction furnace, he took it out to try. According to his analysis, this snake was once the pet of some powerful cultivator. Shu Hao got lucky and found its body while cleaning up the foreign battleground. He carefully cut the snake's head off and got rid of all of the skin and meat. What appeared before him was an oval skull. After removing the insides, the body of a reaction furnace was complete. Next, Wang Lin carefully controlled the layer of spiritual energy and delicately placed it over the skull. He only heard a snap as cracks appeared on the skull. The cracks increased until the skull broke into pieces. At this moment, the layer of spiritual energy began to slowly dissipate until it completely disappeared. The production of the reaction furnace failed. Wang Lin let out a bitter smile. Although he was disappointed, he was still somewhat prepared for this result. The jade said that the chance of creating the furnace was low. He would need to gain better control over the strands of spiritual energy. But the most important part was still the material for the furnace's body. It would be best if he could get the skull of a beast that had just died, or the skull of a powerful beast. A desolate beast would be even better. If the beast had been dead for a long time, the chance of succeeding was very slow. If it was not a spirit beast, then the success rate was basically 0. The quality of the reaction furnace will affect his refining capability in the future. The jade repeated this many times. Wang Lin pondered a bit after the production of the reaction furnace failed. As for spirit beasts, he only had the one snake in his bag. Now that the snake's skull had shattered, and there was no way to make a reaction furnace, Wang Lin could only take a step back and look for another way to refine treasures. He pointed at the piece of metal, and it immediately began to spin rapidly. Soon, drops of liquid metal fell from the piece of metal as it shrank. Finally, the piece of metal turned into a puddle of liquid metal. The devil had already left the metal, and looked at Wang Lin sheepishly from the side. The image of the little cyan sword flew out and floated around Wang Lin. He then took out the black sword that belonged to Sun Yukai's senior apprentice brother. This made it easy for Wang Lin. Wang Lin pointed at the image of the little sword. It flew into the black sword and slowly fused with it. This method was the most direct and the worst type of refining. It really couldn't even be considered refining, more like finding a new body for your flying sword, much like how cultivators possess bodies. Wang Lin frowned as he tested the flying sword. The sword was much faster than the piece of metal, but still far from what it was back in Zhao. However, this was the best result he could get for now. The devil didn't wait for Wang Lin's order and obediently entered the flying sword. Wang Lin put away the flying sword. He did some calculations to figure out the time for a bit, then took a break to cultivate. After recovering his spiritual energy, he took a step without any hesitation and disappeared. Wang Lin didn't know that during the few days he had been in closed-door training, some earth-shattering changes had occurred in Haofen. The source of this change was a volcano a nascent soul cultivator from the Lu He sect was sealing off. One of the volcanoes he had sealed suddenly erupted, spewing lava hundreds of feet into the air. At the same time, large amounts of black smoke filled the sky. This wasn't too much. But what caused the nascent soul cultivator's scalp to go numb were the countless fire beasts that charged out with the lava. Among these spirit beasts, there was one that was especially large. After the nascent soul cultivator fought the giant fire beasts, he found that he was no match and escaped with injuries. Luckily, the fire beast didn't chase him. It went to destroy the seals on the other volcanoes instead. Suddenly, many volcanoes across Haofen erupted, filling the air with violent spiritual energy. If anyone were to cultivate that spiritual energy right now, if they were lucky, they would just go mad, but if they were not, they would burn themselves to death. The moment this happened, the entire country of Haofen went into chaos. The first to be affected were the mortals, as they couldn't defend against the fire beasts at all. All of the mortals were moving out of the country. Second were the various small and medium sects and families. They all looked toward the four main sects to see if they were fighting or running. The nascent soul cultivators of the four sects met at the war god shrine. After reporting the news to the upper cultivation country, they gave out the order to migrate. After all, there was a chance that the rank cultivation country would show up at any time. Even if they were to win, their losses would be heavy and they were likely to drop back down to rank. Bordering Haofen was the country of Xuanwu. Compared to Haofen, Xuanwu was much messier as there were a lot more sects there. When Wang Lin exited the cave, it was just as the four main sects were migrating. A migration of sects sounded simple, but because such a thing rarely happened, it was anything but. Because of the fire beast's constant attacks, the sects had to keep sending out disciples to hold them off. As a result, once the four main sects finally grouped together, adding on the various other families, they formed a group of plus cultivators. At this point, not only had all of the fire beasts broken open the seals on all of the volcanoes, they also formed a fire beast army, which was closing in. After several large battles, the cultivators broke out of the encirclement. They left behind a group to hold off the fire beasts, as everyone else closed in on Xuanwu. The moment Wang Lin left the cave, his pupils shrank as he saw 7 or 8 cultivators get jumped on by fire beasts and instantly die. Mid-month and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already? Tears streaming. Is there any hope left? Chapter 1345. The End of the World. Wang Lin's mind was in shock. As he listened, he couldn't help but feel admiration. This person's talent had surpassed that of any cultivator Wang Lin had encountered. Whether it was Red Butterfly, Li Qianmei, or Situnan, none were as talented as this person. They also didn't have his determination to break through everything to find the truth. I broke through the cage and saw the world outside for the first time. It was the starry sky. And it was beautiful, beautiful. My speculation had become truth. I saw cultivators like me. But they were very weak. The weakest was only at the soul formation stage. However, even that soul formation cultivation cultivator could become heaven and come kill my people. I was angry and began a slaughter. As I slaughtered, I learned the truth from the people I killed. The bald young man laughed loudly and tears flowed from his eyes. The truth is that the place I live in is called the Million Worlds, and this is a place created by the Scatter Thunder clan. We are like cattle in captivity, and when we reach the soul formation stage, they arrive with divine retribution to take our spiritual thunder. I also found out that over the countless years, the legends handed down by my ancestors in the Million Worlds were all false. They were all fake. The moment they became celestials, they were all dead. This is the celestial realm. These are the celestials. The bald youth's voice contained a hint of madness and was filled with monstrous resentment. Wang Lin silently pondered. His complicated expression became even stronger. the heavenly Tao and divine retribution in my eyes, are merely a task to the people of the Scatter Thunder clan. A task anyone in the clan can take. What's funny is that even then, I didn't dare to believe all of this. I didn't even dare to kill too many members of the Scatter Thunder clan. I was scared. I was afraid. I also knew that the person that spared me had become the head elder of the Scatter Thunder clan. I was afraid that the Scatter Thunder clan would find out that I knew everything. I feared the celestial realm that had weighed upon me and the million worlds for countless years. I didn't dare to resist tears continue to flow from the bald youth's eyes. That memory was the most painful part of his life. I even told myself that none of this was true, that the world I am in is not a cage. I wanted to escape from the truth I found. So I continued to fly across space through the 7 million worlds just like now the bald youth said bitterly as he crossed through the worlds. Until one day, I arrived here. The bald young man stopped and looked at Wang Lin as he pointed ahead. In this short period of time, the bald youth had gone through the 7 million worlds. Where he was pointing was still space, but it was covered by a layer of mist and was a blur. This place was extremely quiet, without any sound. The bald youth walked forward but stopped before the mist. He placed his right hand on it and pressed down. The mist churned and a blinding light came from the space before them. At the same time, more ripples spread and a giant barrier slowly revealed itself behind the fog. This barrier was like a wall that extended endlessly and surrounded the world. Cultivators were as small as dust before it. The bald youth softly said, "I escaped to here and arrived at the end of the million worlds, the end of the world here." My thoughts of escape collapsed. I had to face the reality, the truth. I no longer ran. I chose to face them, chose to resist. I went back to the million worlds and created the Scatter Spirit sect. Every avatar spread out their spirit, and my scattered spirits control a majority of cultivators in the million worlds. I taught them the cultivation method that would allow them to reach the soul formation stage the fastest. I began cultivating like crazy, creating avatar after avatar. Tens of thousands of years later, I reached the point you celestials call fourth heaven's blight. The bald youth turned to look at Wang Lin. "I am going to kill the celestials. I am going to subvert the Scatter Thunder clan and take my people out of here." However, even after tens of thousands of years, even with the power I have accumulated, I still can beat the head elder, who is at the fifth heaven's blight. I can use everything, pull together all the cultivators I can control, and even use the life and death formation I placed tens of thousands of years ago, but I can only seriously injure him, not kill. This is not even mentioning the rest of the Scatter Thunder clan elders. My cultivation has reached a limit. I can reach the point where I can withstand the life and death calamity of the fifth heaven's blight. I need your help. The bald youth looked at Wang Lin with plea in his eyes. You are not the same as the Scatter Thunder clan members. You re the first hope I've seen. With our power, you were able to help me. I can see that you also have no good will toward the Scatter Thunder clan. If we cooperate, it would benefit both of us. Wang Lin silently pondered. The youth gnashed his teeth and said, "I followed you the entire way and saw that you were collecting spiritual thunder. I have it. If you agree to join forces, I can give all of it to you." Wang Lin still didn't speak, and looked at the barrier with confusion in his eyes. In addition, there are countless cultivators of my clan in the million worlds. If this matter succeeds and my clan can get out, I will agree to any request you make in the future. Even if I'm not here, my clan will continue to follow that order for generations. I found out from the memories of the Scatter Thunder clan that in your world, there is an inner realm and an outer realm. If you need it, my entire clan can help you battle the inner realm. After a long time, Wang Lin slowly said, "How confident are you in killing the head elder?" The bald youth's eyes lit up, and after pondering a bit he said, "If you help me, I am 70% confident." 70%? Wang Lin silently pondered as he withdrew his gaze from the barrier. His eyes revealed a strange light, and he slowly nodded. The bald youth was exhilarated. He looked at Wang Lin profoundly and smiled. "Good. I'm going to kill all the Scatter Thunder clan cultivators here. This will attract their attention, and the head elder will surely come here. No need to do this. If all the Scatter Thunder clan cultivators die, then they only send just the head elder. If several elders come, there will be some problems. If you have a method teleporting me into this place, then I can draw the head elder in here. Once he dies, the matter will be settled. Wang Lin calmly looked at the bald youth. The bald youth silently pondered for a while, and then slowly nodded. I can destroy 20% of my avatars to form a charm. This charm, along with me casting a spell inside, can open a passage that will last for only 3 breaths of time. You can go out from this passage, but you can come in. With that, the bald youth didn't hesitate and closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, tens of thousands of cultivators trembled, and their bodies collapsed into flesh and blood. Soon, everything in their bodies quickly dissipated into the void. All of this happened in an instant. The bald youth's face turned slightly pale, then his right hand formed a seal, and the power from those tens of thousands of avatars gathered from the void. A moment later, a blood-colored token appeared, and he handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin accepted it and carefully looked at it. He clasped his hands before turning around and disappearing with one step. Wait for my message. Wang Lin's voice echoed and gradually dissipated. The bald youth looked at where Wang Lin went. After pondering for a long time, he murmured, I can only trust him, only trust him. As Wang Lin quickly moved through space, his eyes shined and he began to ponder. He didn't believe everything the bald youth had said. This was just how he was. With his cultivation level, he naturally knew how much power was required to open a massage. The bald youth being willing to sacrifice so much in an instant was a show of sincerity. Killing the head elder of the Scatter Thunder clan was only one of the reasons. The more important reason was that he wanted to help these people break free. He wanted to break something. He wanted these people to be able to leave here in order to prove something. Wang Lin moved very fast as he charged toward the square at the center. Soon, the square appeared before him. With one step, he crossed an immeasurable distance, landing on the square. He ignored the gazes of the surrounding people and his body disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already outside a towering pavilion. This was the place to leave the Million Worlds and return to the Scatter Thunder clan. There was a huge transfer array beside the pavilion. At this moment, the transfer array was activated with a dozen or so people inside. The transfer array was about to activate, and there were several Scatter Thunder clan members outside who were in charge of the formation. Wang Lin suddenly appeared. He didn't even look around before stepping toward the transfer array. One of the Scatter Thunder clan cultivators in charge of the transfer array immediately shouted, "Stop! The formation is activated. Wait for the next group." However, before they finished shouting, Wang Lin waved his right hand, tore a gap in the transfer array, and walked inside. This scene caused the expressions of the cultivators outside to change greatly, and they were horrified. Even the dozens of people that were inside the transfer array were shocked. The formation lit up, and everyone inside, including Wang Lin, disappeared without a trace. It's the middle of the month. Wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video. Chapter 1346, Where is Master? At this moment, a shocking change occurred on one of the 16 Scatter Thunder clan planets that were surrounded. Thank you, the endless thunder. Shu Li Guo had turned into black fog and was escaping into the distance. He was holding a gorgeous woman who had a sneer on her face. His face was filled with panic and malice as he continuously roared. The gorgeous woman's eyes were filled with mockery as she coldly said, "You can escape. As soon as you captured me, you caused a great calamity. This is just one elder and you already running. It won't be long before my father comes out of closed-door cultivation and refines you into a thunder soul so you can be tormented for thousands of years to resolve the hatred in my heart." Shu Li Guo appeared from the fog. Then he slapped her and angrily shouted, "Shut up! What hasn't your grandpa Shu seen and experienced? What does this count as?" Killing intent flashed through the gorgeous woman's eyes as she let out a cold snort and spat out a mouthful of blood. Just at this moment, the sky rumbled, and the thunder was heaven shaking. The endless rumble spread across the sky, causing all creatures to tremble. Even the Scatter Thunder clan members inside their caves were terrified. The entire sky was dark, but in just a moment, countless silver snakes filled the sky. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. An old man wearing green stepped through the sky. It was as if he had crossed immeasurable distances with just one step. A mere sword spirit dares to be so arrogant before this old man. You managed to escape before, but this time you will die. The old man formed a seal and pointed at the escaping Shu Li Guo. Thunderous rumbles echoed as all the thunder gathered. forming millions of silver snakes, and shot at Shu Liguo. Shu Liguo let out a scream and suddenly turned around, using the gorgeous woman as a shield. He sliced the air with his hands at the endless thunder and endless rays of sword energy came out of his body. These sword energy was heaven-shaking and gave off an cold aura. They collided with the thunder. Rumble, 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 rumble. The sky changed colors and the clouds shattered. A powerful impact scattered, causing Shu Liguo to cough out soul essence and immediately weaken. However, the impact pushed him away and he quickly escaped with the gorgeous woman. If you let me go, I can reduce your punishment. But if you, the gorgeous woman, also coughed out blood due to the impact and stared at Shu Liguo. However, before she could finish speaking, Shu Liguo let out a strange cry. His right hand directly reached into her shirt and he squeezed her chest hard. Shut up, little girl. If I die, I'll kill you first. Shu Liguo squeezed, caused the gorgeous woman's face to turn pale. It was clearly very painful. However, just at this moment, the old man's eyes lit up in flames and overflowed with anger. He had been hunting this sword spirit for a long time, but the sword spirit's spells were all extremely clever and would often resolve the danger. The sword spirit's speed was also unimaginable. He vaguely felt like he couldn't catch up. When he saw what Shu Liguo had done, he let out a roar. His right hand formed a seal and his mark flashed. Then a ball of black thunder flew out. The ball of thunder moved along with the old man's right hand. It broke through the world and charged at Shu Liguo. Damn it, this again! Shu Liguo let out a scream as he withdrew his right hand and turned into black fog. Then he scattered. The moment he scattered, the ball of black thunder arrived. A thunderous bang echoed, causing the earth to rumble and making countless spatial cracks appear. Thunder scattered in all directions, and the rumbling continued. All of this happened in an instant. After Shu Liguo collapsed, he turned into black fog and reappeared in the distance. Shu Liguo's body reformed, but it was blurry. Even his spirit body was seriously injured. However, his hand was still clinging on to the gorgeous woman. The moment he appeared, 3 black threads came out of the ball of thunder and charged at Shu Liguo. Each of those 3 threads contained the power of destroy the heavens. The moment they arrived, Shu Liguo grinned as he retreated and used the gorgeous woman as a shield. The 3 black threads paused and immediately changed directions. Taking this opportunity, Shu Liguo quickly retreated and roared, "Old man, what hasn't been seen by your grandpa Shu? You merely at the Nirvana cleanser stage. You nothing. Once my master returns, he can kill you with just 1 finger." Black gas came from the face of the old man chasing Shu Liguo, and his anger reached a limit. He had lived for many years, but he had never met an enemy with such a vicious mouth. As he chased, the other party had constantly cursed him, and even though his heart was normally as calm as water, he couldn't help but become angry. When this old man catches you, I'll make you wish you were dead. Old fellow, can you say something else? You've already said that 100 times. 100 times, 100 times. Say, old man, do you want to watch me take advantage of this little girl? Why else wouldn't you have caught up with your Nirvana cleanser cultivation? Do you want to see me do it 100 more times? Shu Liguo said viciously as he teleported away. Although he was weak and almost like an empty oil lamp, his words had become more vicious. Good, your grandpa Shu will let you see all you want. Shu Liguo's right hand reached toward the gorgeous woman and tore her clothes. A large portion of her clothes were torn off, revealing her snow-white skin. The viciousness in the woman's eyes became monstrous, and she screamed, "I'm going to kill you." Shut up, little woman. If you keep making your grandpa angry, I will take over your body. You know I am a spirit. I can easily take over your body. Then I'll begin to undress. Although Shu Liguo was speaking viciously, his heart was bitter. Master, if you don't come back, your grandpa Shu will be finished. You the one who let me out, but now you not caring about me. Master, please appear. After the woman heard Shu Liguo's words, her face turned pale. She immediately shut up and no longer dared to utter a word. The old man in green who was chasing him had heard Shu Liguo's words, especially those last few words. They caused anger to fill his body, so much that he almost coughed out blood. He simply decided to continue pursuing and not speak. While the old man continued to chase, Shu Liguo weakened more and more, but he continued to say vicious words. The old man was fuming with anger. A gentle voice appeared in the world. What a sharp-mouthed sword spirit. I want to see if you can still say those words after I drain your spirit body and seal you inside a pig. A middle-aged man wearing blue appeared along with the voice. He appeared in an extremely bizarre way and stood right in front of Shu Liguo's escape path. The gorgeous woman immediately shouted, "Enjoy, Godfather! Peak Nirvana Shatterer!" Shu Liguo's pupils shrank and his body trembled. Just as he was about to retreat, the middle-aged man raised his right hand and casually waved. Shu Liguo's body rumbled, and his body split into pieces, turning into black fog. The woman held by him was surrounded by a gentle force and was taken to the middle-aged man's side. At this moment, the old man closed in. The black fog quickly took form once more, but it was even weaker. It was as if the wind only needed to blow to cause him to scatter. "Hey, I didn't think this little girl's godfather would be so young. Godfather, I think she should be your mistress." Just as Shu Liguo spoke, the middle-aged man's expression became gloomy. He waved his right hand and wind and thunder rushed toward Shu Liguo. Thunderous rumbles echoed and Shu Liguo collapsed once more. Just as he recovered, he collapsed once more. This continued, and he rapidly weakened. He was about to be completely destroyed. "Instead of killing you at once, I'll let you continue to disintegrate and taste the fear of death again and again." The middle-aged man's voice was gentle, while the gorgeous woman beside him was filled with monstrous hatred. "Master, save me. If you don't save me, I'll die." Shu Liguo was filled with fear. If not for the fact that he had provoked the woman so much that it simply couldn't be turned around, he would have long surrendered. "That's right. You still have a master. I want to see what gall your master has to provoke me. Be buried with you." The middle-aged man revealed a gentle smile. However, just at this moment, a cold voice slowly appeared from the world. This voice was like countless sharp blades and was filled with a powerful chill. "I am his master." The moment the voice appeared, the gentle smile on the middle-aged man immediately became stiff and shock appeared in his eyes. He had his divine sense spread out the entire time, but until the voice appeared, he hadn't noticed anything. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the entire world was replaced by thunder. It was as if someone had moved the thunder from the outside to here. Wang Lin walked out from the thunder. Master, save me!" Shu Liguo had never been like this. He had never seen so happy about Wang Lin showing. He was filled with grievance and flew toward Wang Lin. However, the green-clothed old man hated Shu Liguo to the bones and subconsciously lifted his right hand to stop Shu Liguo. However, the price of this subconscious action was death. The moment he raised his right hand, Wang Lin casually waved his sleeve and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was beside the old man, and he casually pointed to the spot between the old man's eyebrows. The old man's body trembled as panic and disbelief filled his eyes. His body collapsed, and his origin soul was destroyed with it. The pupils of the middle-aged man in blue shrank, sweat covered his forehead, and terror filled his eyes. He immediately stepped back and grabbed the woman. He was about to escape. Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the video. Chapter 1347. Battle at the Scatter Thunder Clan. 1. Wang Lin didn't stop them. He watched the terrified middle-aged man taking the similarly terrified gorgeous woman, and they disappeared in an instant. Outer Realm Nirvana Shatterer cultivators have to die. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and the G-Realm charged out. The red lightning immediately charged forward. The G-Realm affected the endless thunder in the sky, and the rumbling intensified, as if the sky was going to collapse. The thunder descended down onto the planet like eternal thunder, and it was as if the entire planet had turned into a thunder prison. As the middle-aged man retreated, his face was filled with monstrous fear. He used spells and a large amount of treasure to resist this red lightning that brought him an endless sense of danger like he had never felt before. However, the moment those spells and treasures touched the red lightning, they all collapsed. They weren't able to stop it for even a moment. What kind of thunder is this? The middle-aged man didn't hesitate to grab the girl that called him Godfather but was, in truth, one of his dual cultivation partners. Before she could even react, he moved her to block the red lightning. The woman's eyes were filled with disbelief as her body collapsed. Borrowing this time window, the middle-aged man retreated like crazy. He tore open the void and was about to enter. When he was halfway inside, the red lightning penetrated through the void and entered his back. The middle-aged man's body trembled, and his eyes became unfocused. His body exploded, and his origin soul was destroyed. From when Wang Lin appeared to the end, it had only been a moment. He didn't intend to kill the woman, as someone like her couldn't do much. What happened to her was irrelevant to Wang Lin. Shu Liguo witnessed all of this and witnessed Wang Lin's strength. At this moment, he was about to flatter Wang Lin when Wang Lin grabbed Shu Liguo and threw him into the storage space. Then Wang Lin turned into a ray of light and flew into the sky. Next, I am going to battle the entire Scatter Thunder Clan. Wang Lin's eyes were cold, and he moved faster and faster. In an instant, he broke through the atmosphere and arrived in space. The thunder among the stars rumbled loudly. It seemed to respond to Wang Lin's will. Wang Lin walked toward the giant continent at the center of the planets. He walked into the thunder, creating a heaven-shaking rumble with the thunder surrounding him. He formed a shocking scene. It seemed as if he had summoned endless thunder here. Wang Lin wore thunder and stepped on lightning as he slowly walked toward the Scatter Thunder Clan's holy ground. The eternal thunderbolt in the temple on the continent also roared, seeming to be preparing to confront Wang Lin. Wang Lin was not far from the Scatter Thunder Clan's holy land. He immediately closed in, and a powerful voice suddenly came from the holy land. This is my clan's holy land. You can enter without a summon. Quickly leave. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and he completely ignored this voice. He pointed with his finger and the endless thunder gathered. It was as if Wang Lin's finger had absorbed the thunder of the heavens and earth and began to bombard the Scatter Thunder Clan's holy land. The thunderous rumbles were heaven-shaking, and a green light flashed around the holy land. As the large amount of lightning bolts fell, they looked like rain, causing large amounts of ripples on the green light. You dare. Anyone who trespasses on the holy land will die. With a roar, a person flew out from the holy land. This old man was at the Nirvana Shatterer stage. He stepped out from the barrier and formed a seal as he charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin sneered. Instead of retreating, he charged forward. In a flash, he arrived before the old man. The old man's eyes were instantly filled with terror, and before he could react, Wang Lin caught his right hand. Wang Lin moved his arm and lifted the old man. The moment Wang Lin lifted the old man, his origin energy charged into the old man's body. Popping sounds echoed, and he instantly killed the old man. Wang Lin loosened his right hand, and the old man screamed as his body crashed into the green light and exploded. The old man's death shocked the Scatter Thunder Clan members inside the Holy Land. A sharp cry echoed as all of the Scatter Thunder Clan members' jades trembled and gave off a glaring red glow. The trembling and the red light shocked many Scatter Thunder Clan members. However, they soon reacted, and their expressions changed greatly. This red light meant that someone had trespassed on the Holy Land. The jade on Wang Lin also gave off this red light. He took it out and crushed it. His hands formed a seal, and the heavens roared as endless thunder appeared from the void. Wang Lin controlled all that thunder to bombard the barrier. The thunderous rumbles were heaven-shaking. At the same time, hundreds of cultivators flew out from the surrounding planets. They all had gloomy expressions as they charged at Wang Lin. These cultivators were mostly at the illusory yin, corporeal yang, and nirvana scryer stages. Before they even got close, they shot out spells and magic treasures at Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a cold short. When the hundreds of cultivators got close, he waved his hand. He then opened his mouth and roared. Thunder of the world, listen to my command. After he spoke, the expression of the hundreds of cultivators changed greatly and their bodies trembled. At this moment, the thunder inside their bodies trembled violently, as if they had met the King of Thunder. Gather! Wang Lin's roar was shocking. The moment his voice echoed, the hundreds of cultivators let out miserable cries. Thunder erupted from each of their bodies, forming bolts of thunder that shot toward Wang Lin. They quickly gathered around Wang Lin, forming a ball of thunder 1,000 feet wide. Wang Lin grabbed it with his right hand and then threw it at the barrier around the Holy Land. Thunderous rumbles echoed like crazy, and the barrier trembled violently. What an arrogant tone. The thunder of the world needs to listen to your command. When did my Scatter Thunder Clan produce such an unfilial child? A gloomy voice came from the Holy Land. An old man in black walked out, or the temple. He had gray hair and a gloomy expression. His cultivation spread out directly passing Nirvana Shatterer. He was a powerful cultivator at first Heaven's Blight. The moment the old man spoke, tens of thousands of cultivators flew out from the surrounding planets. "Let me see if you have the qualifications to be so arrogant," the old man sneered, and killing intent filled his eyes. He charged out from the Holy Land, and his right hand formed a seal. Then his mark flashed, and a giant thunder dragon appeared and shot toward Wang Lin. The old man was standing on top of the thunder dragon when his right hand reached out, and a long sword appeared covered in thunder. Wang Lin calmly looked at this person and shook his head. "You are not qualified to fight me." Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his G-realm shot out at an unimaginable speed. It broke through the void and directly collided with the thunder dragon. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The thunder dragon trembled and let out a mournful cry as it collapsed. The first Heaven's Blight Elder's eyes were filled with indescribable horror. He waved his right hand and attempted to block the red lightning with the sword in his hand. Popping sounds echoed, and the longsword immediately collapsed into countless fragments. The old man's face was pale and he wanted to retreat, but the red lightning was even faster. After breaking the longsword, it was going to rush into the old man's body. The old man's eyes were filled with intense terror. The feeling of death had never been so close. Just as the red lightning rushed to the spot between the old man's eyebrows, a crazed roar came from the temple on the Holy Land. "Stop!" As the roar echoed, a tall middle-aged man stepped out from the temple. With just one step, he broke through the barrier and arrived next to the first Heaven's Blight cultivator. However, his speed was still too slow compared to the G-realm. The moment he came out, the G-realm had pierced through the first Heaven's Blight cultivator's head and come out the other side. This cultivator's eyes became blurry, and he coughed out blood. His body collapsed, but his origin soul rushed out. He was seriously injured but not dead. Wang Lin frowned. He wasn't here with his original body, so he didn't have much G-realm. That was the reason why he couldn't completely kill a first Heaven's Blight cultivator. "You dare to rebel?" The tall middle-aged man grabbed his clan's origin soul and looked at Wang Lin. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The aura of a third Heaven's Blight cultivator spread out from his body. It was earth-shattering. Ripples spread across space itself. Wang Lin didn't anything as he raised his hand and hit his forehead. Thunder rumbled as Wang Lin's origin soul left Yufei's body and appeared in the world. His origin soul was filled with thunder, and there was also the spiritual thunder accompanying him. The rumbles were heaven-shaking. "Thunder of the world, listen to my command. Come from the endless thunder lake and destroy for me." Wang Lin's divine sense spread out like crazy. At this moment, the thunder lake around the Scatter Thunder clan began to rage like the sea. A monstrous wave was set off, and the entire Thunderland began to rush toward this location. One could see the Thunder Lake rushing in from very far away. This extremely spectacular scene made it look like the Thunder Lake coming to destroy everything. The expressions of all the cultivators that had come here from the planets changed greatly. Even the expression of the tall middle-aged man changed greatly. The rumbles of thunder replaced everything. However, at this moment, a mighty roar came from the eternal thunderbolt inside the temple on the Holy Land. "Who are you?" This voice didn't come from the temple, but from inside the depths of the eternal thunderbolt. It was the head elder of the Scatter Thunder clan, who had reached the fifth Heaven's Blight. A 1,000-foot face appeared within the eternal thunderbolt. This face was like the sun. It lit up the star system. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he slowly said, "I am Wang Lin. Today I can to take the eternal thunderbolt and destroy your Scatter Thunder clan." Welcome everyone to watch. Fans of the narrative chapter expressed their wishes for praise in the latest installment. May the new chapter receive even more acclaim. Chapter 1348. Battle at the Scatter Thunder Clan. 2. At this moment, Wang Lin's origin soul left the body, and Yufei's body slowly floated away. What appeared before the Scatter Thunder Clan was Wang Lin's origin soul filled with thunder. He was like a bolt of thunder that had descended from the heavens. His words were calm, and as he spoke, the thunder lake around the 16 Scatter Thunder Clan planets rumbled even more intensely, as if they were responding to him. This scene caused the tall middle-aged man's pupils to shrink. With his cultivation level, he could clearly feeling the almost suffocating thunder might from Wang Lin. So it turns out, You read not a member of my Scatter Thunder clan. The giant face that appeared from the eternal thunderbolt inside the temple said in a low voice. You dare to run wild in my Scatter Thunder clan with your low cultivation level and declare you will destroy my Scatter Thunder clan? What arrogance! The voice was filled with mockery, and his roar was like a thunderous rumble that suppressed the sound from the Thunder Lake. Wang Lin's origin soul was floating in space. As the thunder light flashed, the vague image of a dragon flickered. He remained calm before the head elder's roar, and wasn't affected at all. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes as he pointed at the eternal thunderbolt, and coldly said, Do you dare to battle me in the Thunder Lake? There was no trick or scheme. Wang Lin had come today for a battle. Everything he had done before was for this battle. This was why he had given up Yufei's body and revealed his origin soul. All of this was to lure the head elder. Wang Lin believed that while the head elder normally wouldn't have noticed anything, since Wang Lin displayed had his origin soul, the head elder would be able to pick up clues. He was using himself as bait to have a battle with the strongest person in the Scatter Thunder clan, the head elder. After he spoke, Wang Lin retreated and turned into a bolt of thunder, charging into the Thunder Lake. The thunder might his origin soul gave off made it so no one dared to stop him. The eyes of the tall, middle-aged man lit up and he was about to chase. But 9 auras came out from the temple and vaguely locked onto Wang Lin. These 9 auras were all Heaven's Blight cultivators. Battle with me good. A thunder-like rumble echoed. The eternal thunderbolt roared and the huge face shrank into bright bolts of thunder. Then a person walked out. This person looked about 40 years old, and his eyes revealed no emotion. His lips were thin, so he was a vicious person. At this moment, he walked out of the eternal thunderbolt and left the Holy Land. Greetings, head elder! The tall, middle-aged man immediately bowed. The eyes of the Scatter Thunder clan cultivators were filled with fervor when the head elder appeared. The head elder was the leader of the Scatter Thunder clan, and was the pinnacle of the Scatter Thunder clan. Everyone admired the head elder, and to them the head elder was the heavens. Even the 9 auras that had locked onto Wang Lin appeared, revealing themselves to be 9 people of varying ages. They all bowed. This child has a lot of secrets and has great use for me. Also, for this person to come here with his cultivation level, I fear he is no alone. All of you, guard this place. I want to see what he is capable of. The head elder said indifferently, then he slowly walked forward with his hands behind his back. He wasn't fast, but with just a few steps, he crossed an immeasurable distance as if the world had shrunk before him. Wang Lin rushed forward like a bolt of thunder, but after only a moment, he suddenly turned around. The head elder only took 2 steps to leave the people of the Scatter Thunder clan far behind and appear 1,000 feet behind Wang Lin. This place was already very far away from the Scatter Thunder clan as Holy Land, and there was only endless thunder surrounding them. They were the only 2 people here. Retribution thunder, spiritual thunder, and an eternal thunder similar to the one in my clan as Holy Land not bad. Do you have something on you that could attract this old man? Which is why you are so sure I would show up. The head elder was calm. He had lived for far too long, so he was very cunning. All of Wang Lin's intentions were clear before his eyes. You read not this old man's match, so let your helper come out. Even now the head elder revealed no emotion, and from beginning to end he was as calm as water while emitting a terrifying aura. After he spoke, he raised his right hand and casually waved. In an instant, space trembled and a giant vortex unexpectedly appeared. A heaven-shattering roar came out from inside the vortex. Thunder dragons came out of vortex like crazy. 1, 2, 3 in the blink of an eye, 999 thunder dragons appeared. When they appeared, endless thunder surrounded them, and they all let out roars as they charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. This was the first time he had faced someone at the 5th Heaven's Blight. Although it wasn't the 3rd step, it was the strongest under 3rd step. The other side was able to create 999 thunder dragons with just a wave of his hand. This spell was heaven-shaking and was already beyond what could be considered a spell. Those thunder dragons didn't allow Wang Lin to think too much and charged at him. Wang Lin retreated while his hands formed a seal. Thunder flashed around his origin soul, forming a halo around him. The moment this halo appeared, Wang Lin pushed out his hand and coldly said, Thunder of the world, listen to my command. Up in the heavens and earth collapse for me. He pushed his hands forward. and the halo around his origin soul immediately spread out with him as the center. When the Thunder Dragons encountered the halo, their bodies trembled and their eyes became filled with confusion and struggle. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed forward several times. The confusion in every Thunder Dragon that was pointed at by him collapsed. Then they turned around to attack the Head Elder. This sudden change caused chaos to occur within the Head Elder's spell. The Head Elder's eyes lit up, and he sneered. Interesting. Indeed interesting. As he spoke, his right hand formed a seal and he pointed at the sky. He slowly said, as the Head Elder of the Scatter Thunder Clan, "Slave to the Holy Thunder, command the thunder of the world with my endless will to disintegrate the world." After he spoke, the nearly 1,000 Thunder Dragons around Wang Lin gave off endless thunder and roared as if they were crazy. Then they charged at Wang Lin. Even the Thunder Dragons controlled by Wang Lin began to struggle. It only took a moment for them to break free of Wang Lin's control and fall under the Head Elder's control once more. Rumble, 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 rumble. Those Thunder Dragons bombarded Wang Lin, causing his origin soul to almost collapse. He continued to retreat, and his origin soul was turning transparent. Every Thunder Dragon contained the will of the Head Elder. Not only did this damage his origin soul, but the will entered his origin soul as if it was trying to control him. This was the first time Wang Lin had encountered something like this, and his mind trembled. As he was being bombarded, he retreated even faster. All of this happened in a flash, fast beyond imagination. However, when Wang Lin retreated 10,000 feet, his expression changed. He didn't hesitate to cough out a mouthful of essence energy and step forward. Then his origin soul rapidly shrank. Just as he quickly changed directions, Rippled appeared where he was. An ancient hand reached out and mercilessly slammed toward him. Although Wang Lin had avoided the sudden danger, he was hit by the shockwave of the palm. His origin soul trembled violently and his face turned pale. Not slow to dodge, but just how many times can you dodge? The Head Elder walked out from the ripples. There was a hint of mockery in his calm gaze toward Wang Lin. "You said before that you were going to take my clan's eternal thunderbolt and destroy my Scatter Thunder Clan. If this is all your power, you can do it." Wang Lin didn't speak a single word as he retreated and turned from human form into an ancient Thunder Dragon. He charged toward the Thunder Lake in the distance. The Head Elder sneered and he waved his right hand. The remaining hundreds of Thunder Dragons all charged after Wang Lin. This was a scene that could shock anyone who saw it. An origin soul ancient Thunder Dragon in front with hundreds of Thunder Dragon chasing. There was also a middle-aged man with his hands behind his back slowly walking forward. "You want to escape to the endless Thunder Lake and use it to fight this old man, but all the thunder here contains my will, so how can you borrow any of it?" The voice of the Head Elder was extremely clear among the endless rumbles of thunder. Wang Lin didn't speak at all and moved like crazy, instantly closing in on the rumbling Thunder Lake. The endless Thunder Lake was monstrous, and when Wang Lin got close, the roars became even more intense. At the same time, deep within the endless Thunder Lake, there was a ball of thunder 10,000 feet wide. Wang Lin's original body opened his eyes and revealed a cold gaze. "Old bastard, you finally came." The moment his eyes opened, the Thunder Lake around the 16 Scatter Thunder Clan planets began to boil. It was as if their king had awakened and was displaying their endless thunder. Today marks the first watch, longing for the like button for the VIDEO. The VIDEO wants to charge up the trending charts, hoping the veteran supporters lend their firepower. Chapter 1349. Battle at the Scatter Thunder Clan. 3. The moment Wang Lin's original body awakened, the hundreds of Thunder Dragons chasing his origin soul trembled violently, and some exploded. Although the remaining Thunder Dragons didn't collapse, the pressure coming from the Thunder Lake made it so they didn't dare to move forward. Even the expression of the calm Head Elder changed. He paused for a moment, and his face revealed a rare trace of seriousness. At this moment, Wang Lin's ancient Thunder Dragon origin soul rushed into the Thunder Lake. He suddenly turned around to face the Head Elder and quickly turned into his human form. "I, Wang Lin, have come to collect the eternal thunderbolt and destroy your Scatter Thunder Clan." Wang Lin slowly repeated what he had said before, and his origin soul retreated into the Thunder Lake. The Head Elder's eyes lit up and he sneered as he moved into the Thunder Lake. The Thunder Lake was originally churning and rumbling, but the moment the Head Elder entered, it became quiet, as if an invisible force had pressed down upon it. The head elder's divine sense spread out within the thunder lake, and the thunder within his divine sense calmed down. It surrounded him as if it were following its master. "Is this your helper? This old man wants to see how this helper will help you destroy my Scatter Thunder clan." The head elder's mighty voice spread out in all directions. However, just as he spoke, a cold voice slowly came from the distance. "As you wish." These three simple words set off a monstrous rumble. This roar was 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times more intense than before, and made the entire Thunder Lake churn. At the same time, the Thunder Lake before the head elder churned, and rumbles that sounded like fists swinging rapidly charged at the head elder. The monstrous rumble carried with it a sense of madness, the momentum to tear the heavens in half, and the might to pierce through the world, setting off a storm in the Thunder Lake. The eyes of the head elder narrowed and looked into the distance. Before him, the thunder rumbled and danced like silver snakes, and the rumble that seemed to come from ancient times got closer and closer. At this moment, if you look from above, you would see a heaven-shaking scene. In this scene, far away from head elder in the Thunder Lake, a young man with white hair was moving in a straight line toward the head elder. As he moved forward, his right hand continuously threw punches. Every punch he threw would cause the thunder in the Thunder Lake to gather like crazy. This thunder gradually formed an illusory fist before the young man. At first, the fist was only 100 feet wide, but as Wang Lin continued to move forward and punch, it absorbed more thunder. It grew to 1,000, 10,000, even 100,000 feet. This 100,000-foot fist was completely made of thunder. It was a shocking scene, and anyone who looked at it would be terrified. The rumble suddenly closed in, and the sound spread out in all directions. Even the Scatter Thunder Clan members on the planets could hear the thunderous rumble that sounded like the world was collapsing. The expression of the head elder changed and became very serious. Although he knew that the other person must have been confident to lure him here, he was the strongest person under the third step, and he was inside the Scatter Thunder Clan, so he didn't take it seriously. At this moment, when he saw the giant fist made of thunder, his mind trembled. This is indeed just the power of thunder. There is another spell within it. The thunder rumble was heaven shaking, and Wang Lin was walking behind it. He continued to punch, and the thunder fist grew once more into 200,000 feet. As a result, it seemed to replace heaven itself as it shot toward the Scatter Thunder Clan as head elder. "Oh bastard, do you dare to fight me?" Wang Lin closed in and threw his last punch. With this punch, he activated all the ancient god power in his body. The stars between his eyebrows rotated like crazy and large amounts of ancient god power flowed out. Adding Wang Lin's cultivation and his control of thunder, he was able to form a heaven-shattering punch. The 200,000-foot thunder fist descended with a thunderous rumble. It was like a giant punch from another world, descending on the head elder with a destructive aura. The head elder retreated a few steps and waved his hand to hit his mark. The clothes on his body moved without any wind and his hair scattered. Then his eyes shined brightly and he roared. "What a powerful thunder punch. This old man will battle you." The moment his hand landed on his mark, it shined brightly and a treasure flew out. This treasure was a green ancient mirror with a thunder mark on the back. This mark was exactly the same as the Scatter Thunder Clan's eternal thunderbolt. "Thunder Slaughter Mirror, break everything for me," the head elder roared as he threw the mirror. A thunderous rumble came from the mirror, and it grew countless fold. In the blank of an eye, it turned into a 100,000 feet mirror before the head elder. When Wang Lin's thunder fist arrived, a thunder fist of the exact same side appeared within the mirror. This Thunder Slaughter mirror was one of the Scatter Thunder Clan's main treasures. Any spell below the third step would be immediately copied, and its power would be no weaker than the original. It could counter any spell. This treasure was already heaven-defying, and compared to esteemed Xuanbao's rank 9 Nirvana Void treasure, this mirror was rank 2 Nirvana Void treasure. It was far beyond a Void treasure, and was infinitely close to a Nirvana treasure. The giant thunder fist stretched out from the Thunder Slaughter mirror. At this moment, it was as if there was a giant hiding inside the mirror and throwing a punch from within. This fist was exactly the same as the fist Wang Lin had made. Even the size, thunder, and trajectory were exactly the same. In an instant, these two giant fists collided outside the Thunder Slaughter mirror. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The thunderous rumble was heaven-shaking, and powerful shockwaves spread out like crazy. However, the thunder fists didn't dissipate. They continued to fight as if two giants were fighting. The thunderous rumbles of the two punches echoed continuously. Wang Lin's expression was ferocious as he moved behind the thunder fist and continued to throw punches. The punches made the thunder fist rumble even louder, but the copy thunder fist also intensified. The sounds of fists colliding spread across the entire Scatter Thunder Clan. The sounds even echoed outside the Scatter Thunder Clan. "Break for me! Break! Break!" Wang Lin roared. He stepped forward once more, and the ancient god power inside him condensed like crazy. His ancient god stars were already rotating so fast, they were impossible to see clearly as he continued to throw punches. The Thunder Slaughter Mirror could replicate all spells, but it couldn't replicate the power of the ancient gods. The ancient gods were beings from ancient times. How could a mere treasure replicate them? How dare a mere treasure replicate them? As Wang Lin moved forward, the replicated fist began to retreat. Wang Lin grinned. He was going to push this fist back into the mirror and cause it to collapse. This scene shocked the mind of the head elder. His hands formed seals and was about to use a spell when Wang Lin let out a roar. His two hands clasped together and mercilessly smashed down. A thunderous rumble echoed and the replicated fist collapsed. Wang Lin's thunder fist pushed the replicated fist back into the mirror. At this moment, Wang Lin opened his mouth, and a flash of red appeared. The blood sword appeared and surrounded the world in a bloodlight. It immediately charged out and landed on the Thunder Slaughter mirror. There was a crisp sound, and then a large amount of cracks appeared around the spot the blood sword had stabbed into. The head elder was filled with disbelief as the mirror shattered into pieces. The bloodlight flashed and returned to Wang Lin's side. Wang Lin pushed the remaining thunder fist through the broken mirror and arrived before the head elder. It suddenly descended. The Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder let out an angry roar and spat out a mouthful of energy that collided with the punch, creating another thunderous rumble. As the deafening sound echoed, Wang Lin trembled and was pushed back several steps, and the thunder fist collapsed. However, the head elder was also pushed back, and his clothes were in tatters. His eyes shined brightly and popping sounds came from his body. "You are qualified to fight this old man, but before me you will without a doubt die. It has been a long time since I have used power beyond the 4th Heaven's Blight. I don't need 5th Heaven's Blight power to kill you. Today I'll let you personally experience the power of peak 4th Heaven's Blight." The head elder raised his right hand and tore at this mark. It was as if he had torn a seal off, and an incredibly powerful cultivation erupted from his body. This cultivation was very powerful and caused the surrounding space to tremble. Even the thunder didn't dare to approach him. For now, just the first watch today. Leo will rest tonight and start catching up on the missed chapters tomorrow. Chapter 1350. Battle at the Scatter Thunder Clan. 4. Giant Thunder Stamp. After revealing the seal and displaying peak 4th Heaven's Blight cultivation, the head elder seemed to become a different person. He gave off a powerful pressure. The surrounding space seemed unable to withstand this pressure. It began to twist, and cracks appeared. After he said giant thunder stamp, the surrounding thunder rumbled. Then the thunder that was pushed back quickly gathered in the head elder's right hand. A giant ball of thunder suddenly appeared. This ball of thunder instantly became hundreds of thousands of feet large as the endless thunder gathered. The thunder inside roared and rotated rapidly. "Gather for me!" The head elder roared, and heaven-shaking rumbles came from the ball of thunder in his hand. The ball of thunder was compressing like crazy. 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold, 100,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold as the ball compressed. The thunder rumbled, and the light was blinding. The light lit up the surrounding space, and even the head elder seemed to disappear into the blinding light. It was as if all the light, thunder, and life were gathered by the ball of thunder in the head elder's hand. It was being compressed, compressed, and compressed again. This terrifying scene shocked even Wang Lin's mind, and his pupils shrank. He knew what spell the other person was using, and he had learned it himself. At this moment, his eyes lit up and he raised his right hand as if he was holding the sky. "Giant thunder stamp," Wang Lin's voice echoed, and all the thunder gathering toward the head elder trembled. A thunder mark appeared in Wang Lin's right eye, and there was an accompanying bolt of thunder rotating around it. Wang Lin's right eye shined, giving off a demonic feeling. The thunder in this world was split in half. One half charged at Wang Lin's right hand and instantly formed a giant ball of thunder. When the head elder saw Wang Lin also use the giant thunder stamp, his pupils shrank, but he didn't speak. Their gazes collided as they held the balls of thunder, and they began to compress like crazy. The ball of thunder in Wang Lin's hand instantly compressed 100,000-fold and was still going. Earth-shattering popping sounds came from the ball of thunder. 1,000,000-fold, 2,000,000-fold, up to 3,000,000-fold. The ball of thunder in Wang Lin's hand gave off a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. It was no longer a simple ball of thunder, but thunder that could extinguish the world. As thunderous rumbles echoed, the ball of thunder in the head elder's hand also compressed like crazy as it absorbed the surrounding thunder. It had already compressed 5,000,000-fold. All of this happened in an instant. As the two people compressed thunder, a huge change occurred. The world seemed to be split in half, with one half being pulled toward each of them. Two different forces of thunder suddenly erupted from the split world. What the Scatter Thunder Clan held was the eternal thunderbolt, the thunder essence that had appeared from the void in ancient times. His eyes revealed a strange light, and he suddenly jumped. He charged at Wang Lin with the thunder that had been compressed 5,000,000-fold. "Die for me!" Everything Wang Lin had obtained was obtained by himself step by step, from when he devoured half an ancient thunder dragon until he formed his own thunder essence. Although it couldn't compare to the eternal thunderbolt, it was on the same level of existence. The moment the head elder arrived, Wang Lin also jumped with the thunder that was compressed 3,000,000-fold. Wang Lin let out a roar as he rushed out. "In the name of my thunder essence, I command all thunder to condense once more." Thunderous rumbles came from the thunder in Wang Lin's hand. It began to compress like crazy and suddenly reached 4,000,000-fold. This level of compression was Wang Lin's limit. His eyes revealed madness as he closed in on the head elder. They began a battle of thunder among the stars. Both of them were thunder cultivators. The battle of two thunder cultivators could be explained in an extremely simple term. What they were competing with was their control over thunder. Similarly, both of them had natural resistance toward thunder, so no ordinary thunder could hurt them. However, the thunder they were using controlled their wills and therefore could cause severe damage. A thunderous rumble spread like crazy, and the surrounding space began to collapse like crazy. Spatial cracks appeared, and the thunder lake trembled. The collision of the two balls of thunder formed an unimaginable shockwave. This shockwave spread out like surging waves. The impact caused thunder to surge in all directions like raging waves. It immediately affected the 16 Scatter Thunder Clan cultivation planets. There were countless deaths and injuries thanks to the rumble. The shockwave of the thunder caused the thunder lake to churn and expand outwards. It instantly expanded by more than 100 times, and a thunderous rumble echoed across the ancient star system. A few cultivation planets not far from the Scatter Thunder Clan were affected. Thunder rained down upon them. This was like a collapse that spread like crazy within the Scatter Thunder Clan. This collapse was too powerful, and as it spread, it immediately caught the attention of many powerful cultivators in the ancient star system. Some third-step cultivators noticed the huge change in the Scatter Thunder Clan. During the collision of thunder, Wang Lin's thunder collapsed, and he was thrown back. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood, and there were even bits of internal organs mixed in. It felt like all the bones in his body had shattered, and pain washed over him. He was thrown back like he had been hit by a powerful gale. This was merely the first shockwave. As Wang Lin was thrown back, the second shockwave arrived. The destructive aura was enough to wipe out all life. At this moment of life and death, seeing the shockwave close in, Wang Lin wasn't just thinking about himself, but also about how to attack the head elder. He believed that the other party had to be having a difficult time facing the destructive aura from the collapse as well. "I am giving it my all." Wang Lin's eyes were filled with madness. His character had always been like this. The more dangerous it was, the more bold he became. Due to his precise calculations and amazing mental strength, he was able to again and again beat those stronger than him. As the second shockwave arrived, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and pointed forward. Rays of light suddenly appeared inside this chaos. These rays of light contained thunder, lightning, starlight, endless light from the spatial cracks, and even the light from the scattered ThunderClan's planets and cultivators far away. More importantly, there was light that came from the million worlds charm in his storage space. These lights gathered like crazy and surrounded Wang Lin. A huge light silhouette suddenly appeared around Wang Lin. From afar, it was impossible to see Wang Lin. One could only see the giant light silhouette absorbing light. Tao Master Blue Dream's strongest defense spell, Light Shadow Shield. The moment the light silhouette appeared, the second shockwave arrived and collided with the light silhouette around Wang Lin. The light silhouette trembled violently and the light became even brighter, lighting up the entire world. The light silhouette sounded like it couldn't hold on anymore. Wang Lin let out a roar and spat out blood at the light silhouette. The blood immediately spread across the light silhouette, helping it reflect the second, third, and fourth shockwaves. At the moment of reflection, the light silhouette collapsed. Wang Lin's face was pale, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. Bloodlight flashed and the blood sword followed the reflected shockwaves. Die for me! The thunder mark in his right eye flashed, giving off a demonic flow, and flew out from his right eye after the blood sword. His eyes also flashed red, and his G-realm shot out at the same time. All of this happened too fast. In just an instant, the reflected shockwaves shot out along with the blood sword, thunder essence, and G-realm lightning. The head elder was retreating and waved his hand, resisting the power of the shockwaves. However, at this moment, his expression changed like never before, and his eyes overflowed with shock. He could have never expected Wang Lin to be so bold and do something so unbelievable in this situation. In particular, the appearance of the light silhouette was a heavy blow in his mind. This is Tao Master Blue Dream's light shadow shield. Could it be that Tao Master Blue Dream wants to kill me? The reflected shockwaves rushed at him and fused with the shockwave that was already charging at him. It was as if the head elder was now withstanding the entire force of the collapse. A life and death crisis that hadn't appeared in a very long time suddenly arose in the head elder's heart. He didn't have time to think before the shockwaves completely enveloped him. Thunderous rumble echoed across the world and didn't dissipate for a very long time. Wang Lin used the wind and rain world while retreating. However, just at this moment, a heaven-shaking roar filled with endless anger erupted. When the impact dissipated, a figure filled with endless thunder walked out. It was the Scatter ThunderClan's head elder, but even more powerful than before. His powerful aura formed a storm around him, and he was infinitely close to the third step. His clothes were in tatters and there was a hole in his chest that was created by the blood sword. There was a crack on the mark between his eyebrows. This was caused by the G-realm. His body was covered in injuries which were caused by Wang Lin's thunder essence. This origin soul was also damaged, and this was caused by the shockwave. You re-dead for sure? With my endless vitality at the fifth heaven's blight, with my status as the slave of the eternal thunderbolt, open the ancient world and summon the ancient thunder dragon? Not paying attention, this chapter quickly racks up 5,000 words. Does that qualify as a major chapter? Could it be wishing for the like button for the video? Chapter 1351. Battle at the Scatter ThunderClan. 5. The Scatter ThunderClan's head elder had a vicious expression, and all the calmness and pride from before were gone. In this short period of time, Wang Lin had brought him too much shock and surprise in their vicious battle. He originally didn't think of Wang Lin as a threat. He thought he could easily kill Wang Lin with only fourth heaven's blight power. However, at that moment, when he felt that life and death crisis, something he hadn't faced in tens of thousands of years, his mind cleared up. If it wasn't for the fact that he was willing to suffer injuries and rip off the last seal to display his full fifth heaven's blight cultivation, that impact just now could have seriously injured him. Or even killed him. The impact of the thunder was like an angry wave that broke through all his protections. At that moment, a bolt of red lightning charged straight at him. That lightning contained a trace of divine retribution and made his clan mark tremble until a crack appeared on it. There was also that bizarre and almost invincible blood sword that had brought him a nightmare. It broke through everything and penetrated through his chest. If not for him releasing his fifth heaven's blight cultivation, just that sword would be been enough to cover him in cold sweat. In addition, the other party's thunder essence had closed in, and it contained endless will. It triggered the thunder inside him, and the attacks from both inside and outside left a large amount of wounds on his body. All of this was a lesson that he had paid for in blood. This had awakened the head elder. The young man before him was his arch-rival. That, coupled with him using Tao Master Blue Dream's Light Shadow Shield, endless speculations appeared in his mind. However, whether it was the injuries or Tao Master Blue Dream's spell, they only shocked the head elder. What made him terrified was the other party's grasp in timing and bold and decisive nature. In the extremely dangerous moment when the thunder collapsed, he actually used the Light Shadow Shield to counterattack, catching me off guard. This sounds simple, but very few people would be able to grasp the timing and pull it off so perfectly. Even if it was me, I would hesitate. This person isn't he very old, but he already has such a cunning mind. He should be very famous in the ancient star system, but I have never heard the name Wang Lin before. What exactly is he? The Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder's expression was vicious as he retreated from the impact, and his killing intent toward Wang Lin grew several-fold. He let out a roar as he raised his hand and clawed at the space around him. Open the ancient thunder realm. A thunderous rumble echoed. It was heaven-shaking and even more shocking than before. It was as if the world was going to collapse, and a giant vortex appeared before the head elder. The center of the vortex was completely black, and endless thunder was moving within. As it rotated, it seemed to open up a black hole to another world. This spell was infinitely close to third-step cultivators extracting the power of Joss flames. Wang Lin was in the distance, and his face was slightly pale. Before he was hit by the impact and suffered injuries. If he hadn't used the Light Shadow Shield to protect himself, he would have been seriously injured. This was a vicious battle. It could be said this was the most powerful opponent Wang Lin had faced in his life. Taoist Water was a third-step cultivator and was forced to retreat before he could kill Wang Lin. However, it wasn't Wang Lin that had forced him to retreat, but the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Therefore, since he had been facing the Scatter Thunder Clan's head elder himself this whole time, his blood is almost boiling. Battle intent filled his eyes. Cultivators like us never shrink from a fight, never fear a fight. If I can overcome a fifth heaven-s blight cultivator, how could I be qualified to challenge a third-step cultivator, to kill Taoist Water? Wang Lin laughed loudly and his hand formed a seal. Rumbling sounds echoed from his body as his ancient god stars rotated rapidly, and the Star of Law appeared as well. His entire cultivation surged rapidly, and the blood sword had long returned to his side, giving off endless sword energy. Wang Lin's eyes shined like torches, and he didn't give the head elder the chance to continue the spell. He raised his right hand and charged forward. The blood sword opened the path and endless thunder appeared around him. In an instant, Wang Lin became like a thunder meteor as he charged forward in this endless rumble. The firefly dares to fight the bright moon. The head elder sneered as he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of essence blood of a fifth heaven-s blight cultivator. The blood was immediately absorbed by the giant vortex. Ancient thunder dragons that have been gone for countless years, today, as a slave of the eternal thunderbolt, I awaken your dissipated souls. I use my blood as the guide so your endless thunder might can gather and descend upon this world. Display your power that can destroy the world. The moment the head elder's blood was absorbed by the vortex, muffled roars came from within it. These roars were heaven-shattering, and before they even came out of the vortex, the surrounding thunder rumbled. The moment he spoke, thunderous rumbles echoed inside the vortex as if a powerful existence was smashing into it in an attempt to rush out. Ancient thunder dragons, descend! The head elder roared as his hand reached out once more. The giant vortex rotated like crazy and a thunderous bang came from within. A giant dragon head suddenly came out of the center of the vortex. This dragon head was green and gave off endless thunder. The moment it appeared, it gave off a roar unique to the ancient thunder dragon. Roar! Wang Lin closed in with endless thunder, but the moment he got close, all the thunder around him collapsed. Even he was affected by the roar. He trembled violently as if his body was going to explode. Then he coughed out blood and was thrown back. Disbelief filled his eyes. A complete ancient thunder dragon. Wang Lin retreated, and his expression was extremely gloomy. The giant dragon head struggled to come out of the vortex with a monstrous aura. Its body was more than 100,000 feet long, and each of its green scales contained thunder. After it charged out, it caused the space around it to collapse. It was as if it could destroy the world if its body moved. If it was just one ancient thunder dragon, Wang Lin wouldn't have been so shocked. However, after the first one, another one rushed out from the vortex. 2, 4 until the 8th ancient thunder dragon appeared before Wang Lin. 8 ancient thunder dragons had appeared in this world. Every single ancient thunder dragon was powerful beyond imagination. Now that 8 had appeared, all thunder had to listen to their command. Ancient thunder dragons, kill this person. The head elder grinned as he pointed at Wang Lin. The 8 ancient thunder dragon rushed toward Wang Lin. These 8 ancient thunder dragons instantly closed in. Thunder had no effect on them because they were ancient thunder dragons. They were the strongest messengers of heaven who were given the right to command thunder. At this moment, they instantly closed in on Wang Lin. The thunderous rumbles continued. Wang Lin let out a roar and grabbed one of the ancient thunder dragons. His body trembled as if he was hit by a million-pound carriage and immediately retreated as he coughed out blood. However, just after he retreated 3 steps, 2 more ancient thunder dragons rushed in. As the impact continued, Wang Lin continued to cough out blood. He couldn't stop, so he continued to be pushed back. However, just at this moment, 3 more ancient dragons came from behind him, trapping himself inside. The 8 ancient thunder dragons all rushed at him at the same time. A life and death crisis appeared in Wang Lin's mind. His face was pale, but his expression was filled with madness. His whole body was a bloody mess, and he couldn't control the thunder in his body at all. The power of the ancient thunder dragons was far beyond his imagination. They were far stronger than the one he devoured back then. This is an ancient thunder dragon. However, the ancient thunder dragons are already extinct, so these 8 aren't real, but formed from souls. Nevertheless, if these 8 dragons explode at the same time, they will kill me instantly. Even my ancient god body can withstand it due to the limitation of my stars. However, it is because I devoured half an ancient thunder dragon as soul that I gained the chance create thunder essence. If I can devour these 8 ancient thunder dragons, then my power of thunder will increase greatly. Wang Lin's injuries were getting worse as the bombardment continued. His origin soul was on the verge of collapse and his body was at its limit. What to do? Soul! Soul! Although these ancient dragons were strong when they were alive, now they are only souls. I need a chance. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he faced the bombardment, and his eyes revealed a strange light. He no longer retreated but let out a roar at the 8 ancient thunder dragons that was no weaker than theirs. Roar! A vortex appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows, and his origin soul extended out in the form of the ancient thunder dragon. He let out a roar that matched theirs. His roar was heaven-shattering. As it spread out, the surrounding 8 ancient thunder dragons couldn't help but pause for a moment. Soul Lasher! At this moment, there was a flash of light around Wang Lin. The mysterious whip that had accompanied him for countless years suddenly appeared. After the Soul Lasher had fused with Wang Lin's Tao, it could be big or small. It wrapped around Wang Lin and whipped toward the 8 ancient thunder dragons. Here comes another 4,000 words in a major chapter. Leo doesn't make empty promises. Could it now be time to wish for the like button for the video? You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1352. Battle at the Scatter Thunder Clan. 6. The moment the Soul Lasher appeared, the head elder's eyes widened as he looked at the whip. There was a flash of shock in his eyes. No, the aura is different, it only looks similar. The Soul Lasher extended to 100,000 feet, and popping sounds echoed as all 8 ancient thunder dragons were hit by the whip. They let out painful roars and were about to charge once more when Wang Lin grabbed the whip and began lashing out like crazy. The Soul Lasher came from planet Suzuka and specialized in damaging the origin soul. No matter your cultivation level, as long as you were in soul form, you would have to despair before this whip. It was impossible to escape it. Even the heavenly ghost was unable to escape. It would be caught trembling. At this moment, Wang Lin held it and whipped nonstop. The 8 ancient thunder dragons roared intensely, but were unexpectedly unable to get close. They were pushed back by the whip. As they retreated, the parts where the 8 ancient thunder dragons were hit by the whip seemed to burn and showed signs of melting. Wang Lin was spirited, and without thinking, he poured his cultivation into the soul lasher. The whip gave off a ghostly glow and golden light came from the broken part of the whip. When the head elder saw the golden light, his expression changed greatly. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. This golden light! This golden light! Could this item really be impossible? That whip was taken away, how could it be in his hands? It's impossible! I want to see what this imitation whip can do. Ancient thunder dragon, devour for me! The head elder stared at the whip, and his hands formed a seal as he spat out blood once more. The blood spread to the 8 ancient thunder dragons, and they let out violent roars. They no longer retreated but charged forward. Wang Lin took a step forward and quickly moved the soul lasher in his hand. A thrilling battle began between him and the ancient thunder dragons. The ghostly light from the whip lessened and was gradually being replaced by the golden light coming from the broken parts. A moment later, the 8 ancient thunder dragons seemed to go crazy as they gave up on Wang Lin and charged at the whip. The head elder had a hideous expression as he stared at the soul lasher and yelled, "Ancient thunder dragons, explode, explode, explode!" As the head elder roared, the 8 ancient thunder dragons trembled, and one of the dragon's body began to rumble. The sound of the thunderous rumble was impossible to describe, and thunder scattered from its body, forming a thunderstorm. It wasn't just one ancient thunder dragon exploding, but in a short period of time, 8 ancient thunder dragons had exploded. The 8 thunderstorms spread out. They were powerful enough to destroy all life within a star domain. The storms charged directly at Wang Lin. At this moment of danger, the soul lasher in Wang Lin's hand lashed out like crazy, but the storm was too strong. For the first time, the soul lasher was not strong enough. Countless cracks appeared on the whip, and as popping sounds echoed, the tip collapsed. Wang Lin's body was covered in blood. At this moment, the head elder relaxed a bit, as if he had confirmed that the whip wasn't what he expected. As he relaxed, killing intent filled him once more as he rushed forward. He was going to cooperate with the thunderstorm to kill Wang Lin. Die for this old man! The head elder instantly closed in with a grin. He raised his hand and was about to slam down. However, just at this moment, a shocking change occurred. Wang Lin struggled inside the storm formed by the 8 ancient thunder dragons. His ancient god body was about to collapse, and his origin soul was seriously injured. His eyes were bloodshot, and he let out a sigh. At this cultivation level, he wasn't strong enough to fight a 5th heaven-esque light cultivator. He was about to activate the charm to head to the million worlds when shock filled his eyes. A glaring ray of golden light came from the collapsed soul lasher, and in an instant, even more golden light spread out. This golden light contained an indescribable aura, and even the ancient thunder dragons inside the storm seemed to pause. Even the world seemed to stop, making it seem as if someone had used the stop spell. All sounds seemed to disappear from this world, and all the rumbling from the thunder disappeared. Everything beside the golden light and the aura from the whip seemed to disappear. Inside the golden light, the 100,000-foot soul lasher shrank, and continued to silently collapse. As layers fell off, the golden light coming from it became even more dense. In just a moment, the 100,000-foot soul lasher shrank until it was only 10 feet long. The last piece of leather on the whip was torn off. Then a shocking change occurred to the whip. At a glance, it didn't look like a whip, but a ray of light. A ray of golden light. It was as if someone had extracted light from the world using a powerful spell and condensed it into this 10-foot-long golden thread. An indescribable pressure came from the golden thread. Wang Lin was holding this golden line. At this moment, his mind trembled and he had an illusion that he was holding millions of souls in this hand. These souls and light were fused together with a strange spell to form the soul lasher, which was specialized in damaging souls. A sense of enlightenment vaguely appeared in Wang Lin's mind. Wang Lin held the 100-foot golden line and gently waved. The golden line twisted like a snake and whipped toward the storm formed by the ancient thunder dragons. The moment the golden line whipped out, it extended indefinitely. 1,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 100,000 feet. This golden line extended endlessly and directly cut through the thunderstorm surrounding Wang Lin. The thunderstorm rumbled and immediately collapsed. As it collapsed, the souls of the 8 ancient thunder dragons were split in half, and they let out mournful cries. They began to dissipate and were about to return to the ancient thunder realm that had disappeared a long time ago. The head elder's eyes were filled with monstrous terror. The moment the golden line appeared, he rapidly retreated but was still hit by it. He immediately coughed out blood as he quickly retreated, and he exclaimed, This! The million world soul-sealing whip was taken away back then. It should never have reappeared in this world. Who the hell are you? Where did you come from? Why do you have the treasure of the leader of that group cultivators that helped the ancestor back then? The terror in the head elder's heart reached a limit. He had personally seen that whip before. Back when the ancestor was still around, he was only a soul formation cultivator. He personally saw the leader of that group of cultivators wield that whip. With one wave, the world collapsed and time seemed to reverse. A giant rift appeared in the world, and within that collapse, the 7 million worlds appeared. He also saw that cultivator wave the whip a second time, which opened the void, and from the darkness, the whip took countless creatures. These creatures were put into the million worlds. They were the first residents of the million worlds. He also saw that when that cultivator took out those creatures, an angry roar came from the void. Then a terrifying aura that he still remembered well came out from the void. A illusory figure rushed out with the roar. However, that figure that terrified him collapsed when the mysterious cultivator whipped a third time. They already left. They took the whip and left. Why did the treasure of their chief reappear once more and in his hands? Unless this is the ancestor's spirit at work, sending this person here to give me the million world soul-sealing whip. The head elder was filled with endless greed. Wang Lin had no time to think about what the head elder was thinking. At this moment, his eyes released a strange light. His heart pounded as looked at the 8 torn-apart ancient thunder dragon souls that were being pulled back. These are ancient thunder dragons. Although they are only souls, they are still real ancient thunder dragons. Back then, I only devoured half of one. I can give up this opportunity. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. The souls were about to dissipate, and once they disappeared, he would never have such a chance again. At this moment, he couldn't bear to think about anything else, and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. His origin soul rushed out of it. His origin soul was an ancient thunder dragon, but at this moment it expanded greatly like boundless fog. Wang Lin was only able to devour half of that ancient thunder dragon, because back in planet Suzaku, Wang Lin had become a soul devourer. A soul devourer could devour any soul in the world. Although Wang Lin hadn't used its power in a long time, today he would use it once more. Devour these 8 ancient thunder dragons. Devour them and my power of thunder will increase greatly. Wang Lin's mind gave off this maddening will. His origin soul moved under his command and began devouring. The ancient thunder dragon souls that were about to dissipate trembled, and a portion of them were devoured by Wang Lin. At this instant, Wang Lin's origin soul surged like crazy and thunder rumbled. His power of thunder had never increased like it did now. This scene caused the head elder to become gobsmacked, and his eyes widened with disbelief. He could have never dreamed that Wang Lin would dare to could devour ancient thunder dragons. How can this be possible? At 36, Leo is still getting wisdom teeth, in pain for many days, with swollen jaws, frustrated, and they're not even breaking through yet. Counting them, there are 3 or 4 wisdom teeth not yet emerged. Chapter 1353, Battle at the Scatter Thunder Clan. 7. The 8 ancient thunder dragon souls were torn into pieces and were rapidly dissipating. However, as Wang Lin inhaled, 30% of them were absorbed by him. The moment the ancient thunder dragon origin souls entered his origin soul, the thunder inside his origin soul surged. The thunder inside his body roared and turned into silver snakes 100 feet wide and 1,000 feet long. The popping sounds that they emitted sounded like whips lashing at the sky. An indescribable thunder might came from Wang Lin's origin soul. It was heaven-shattering. All lightning, all thunder, and everything related to thunder formed rapidly inside Wang Lin. He seemed to vaguely grasp something, but everything was still a bit blurry. The thunder essence hidden inside his origin soul began to expand like crazy. It was like a beating heart, and every time it beat, the thunder essence would grow, giving birth to more essence energy. What was even more shocking was Wang Lin's origin soul. When he devoured half an ancient thunder dragon in the demon spirit land, his origin soul turned into that of an ancient thunder dragon. Then, over the years, it gradually transformed and formed thunder essence. His origin soul was now almost a bolt of thunder. However, this was still almost. His origin soul hadn't really become a bolt of thunder. Right now his origin soul began to change rapidly. It was constantly evolving to become a true bolt of thunder. The ancient thunder dragons he had devoured were causing his origin soul to move toward completion. Before this, even though his origin soul was on the same level as the eternal thunderbolt in the Scatter Thunder clan, he was only on the same level. There were still differences in strength within the same level. However, all of this was rapidly changing. Wang Lin's understanding of thunder was being confirmed tens of thousands of times. His origin soul let out a roar as it turned into a soul devourer and inhaled once more. The world changed colors, space trembled, and countless spatial cracks appeared. All the remaining ancient thunder dragon souls were inhaled into Wang Lin's origin soul. At this instant, Wang Lin's origin soul moved like crazy and condensed from its fog form. A terrifying power of thunder essence came out of his origin soul. The moment this aura appeared, the thunder lake around the Scatter Thunder clan retreated and surrendered. As the aura spread, the eternal thunderbolt in the Holy Land of the Scatter Thunder clan let out a heaven-shattering roar for the first time since the battle began. This roar seemed to come from ancient times and seemed to carry an indescribable pressure. This roar was like a challenge issued by the eternal thunderbolt after it detected something that could threaten it. As Wang Lin's origin soul shrank, his thunder essence aura spread out. In an instant, blinding thunder came out of it. As his origin soul continued to shrink, the fog disappeared and a giant thunder tattoo appeared from within the fog. The moment the thunder tattoo appeared, a pressure no weaker than that of the eternal thunderbolt spread out. The world trembled and space itself collapsed, and the rumbling of thunder was heaven shaking. The spiritual thunder rotated rapidly around the thunder, forming this thunder tattoo. Although this sounds slow, it all happened in almost an instant. The head elder was stunned at this sudden change. He had never heard of anyone being able to devour ancient thunder dragons. However, a powerful sense of crisis erupted in his heart. He vaguely felt like something bad was happening. The roar that came from the eternal thunderbolt seemed to be rushing the head elder. I can let him continue. I must stop him, or else it will be a disaster for my Scatter Thunder clan. The head elder had a hideous expression, and he became sober. He let out a roar as he rushed toward Wang Lin. However, just as he closed in, the thunder tattoo formed by Wang Lin's origin soul retreated and landed between Wang Lin's eyebrows. His origin soul returned to his body, and a rumble came from within him. Every fiber of his muscles, every inch of his bones, and even his internal organs were filled with the power of thunder. It was as if he had reincarnated into thunder. The thunder mark flashed in his right eye, and the essence thunder appeared. It was 10 times stronger than before. As the head elder closed in, Wang Lin waved his right hand. Thunderous rumbles echoed like crazy from all directions. A fine net made of thunder appeared around Wang Lin. This thunder net contained Wang Lin's will, and couldn't be broken, unless he was facing a thunder cultivator who could compete with Wang Lin in terms of thunder essence. Otherwise, there was no chance. As he waved his hand, more and more thunder nets appeared, forming layer after layer. Soon, 10 layers, 100 layers, 1,000 layers, 10,000 layers, 70,000 layers. The head elder suddenly closed in with his hand reached forward, displaying his 5th heaven-s blight cultivation. He ripped apart tens of thousands of layers of this thunder net, but they instantly recovered. Right now I need to find a safe place to go into closed-door cultivation and devour this. I can continue my battle with this person. Wang Lin quickly retreated, and the charm leading to the 7 million worlds appeared in his left hand. Seeing Wang Lin retreat, the head elder seemed to have gone crazy, and the sense of danger in his heart became stronger and stronger. I can let him escape. The head elder coughed out blood and turned into a bolt of blood thunder. The mark between his eyebrows flashed and thunder gathered in that bolt of blood thunder. The blood thunderbolt struck down on the thunder net. Thunderous rumbles echoed across world, and 60,000 of the 70,000 layers of thunder net instantly collapsed. However, just as the head elder was going to rush in, the 60,000 layers instantly recovered. The head elder's entire cultivation was thunder-based, and in this battle against Wang Lin, he held the advantage at the start. However, Wang Lin's thunder essence had increased greatly, so he could not confront Wang Lin. If it was any other fifth heaven-esque blight cultivator, killing Wang Lin would be much simpler. However, this wasn't the case for the head elder. He and Wang Lin were both thunder cultivators, so they were competing in their control over thunder. At this moment, Wang Lin was retreating even faster, and the charm in Wang Lin's hand made him feel ill at ease. He didn't have too much time to think, and he revealed a decisive gaze. A fifth heaven-esque blight cultivator was certainly not only limited to what he had shown before. A fifth heaven-esque blight cultivator was the strongest power under the third step. After reaching this cultivation level, you were far stronger than fourth heaven-esque blight cultivators. However, the premise was to use the spell that was unique to fifth heaven-esque blight cultivators. Life spell. To sacrifice your own life and use your own vitality to use a spell that contained a hint of the third step. This was the real reason fifth heaven-esque blight cultivators were the strongest under the third step. The head elder had never had to use this before in any of his battles. He didn't have much vitality left, and had to keep his cultivation sealed so that the vitality would be drained more slowly. He had to struggle to survive long enough for that chance to enter the third step. However, he couldn't think about it too deeply now. Killing intent appeared in his eyes as his right hand pointed at the sky, and he shouted, "Sacrifice to the heavens! As a slave to the eternal thunderbolt that descended in my clan, I sacrifice 500 years of my life in exchange for a divine body. I request the holy thunder to descend on my body and turn into the invincible chaos thunder." The head elder's voice contained a strange tone. After he spoke, his mark released a blazing glow. A giant compass vaguely appeared in the world. This compass was boundless, and one could easily see it by looking up. Even if one was outside the Scatter Thunder clan, they would still clearly see it. This compass contained an ancient aura, and it was damaged in many places as if it had almost collapsed in a great war. However, when it appeared, a powerful pressure descended. This pressure was very strong. The moment it appeared, it caused the 70,000 layers of thunder around Wang Lin to give off a sound that made them seem like they were at their limit. Wang Lin's expression also changed as he stared at the compass, and his expression became serious. His right hand, holding the charm, also slowed down. He wanted to see what this mysterious compass was, and how powerful a fifth heaven-esque blight cultivator-esque spell was. After the compass appeared, it silently rotated. As it rotated, time seemed to pass and the world fast-forwarded countless years. The head elder's face turned pale as if a portion of his soul was cut off. Death aura filled his face, but the death aura instantly dissipated. When that disappeared, so did the large compass. It was as if the compass had absorbed enough vitality and had disappeared. After it vanished, a bolt of thunder seemed to break off from the eternal thunderbolt at the Holy Land and shot toward the battlefield. In an instant, the portion of the eternal thunderbolt suddenly arrived. As the Scatter Thunder clan's head elder roared, the thunder descended on Wang Lin's 70,000 layers of thunder-like divine retribution. The resulting thunderous rumble was heaven-shaking, and the 70,000 layers of thunder collapsed instantly. Even though they recovered instantly, they instantly collapsed once more, and a powerful thunder might descended. Wang Lin's pupils shrank, and he didn't hesitate to crush the jade as the eternal thunder closed in. A black vortex suddenly appeared behind Wang Lin. He took a step back and instantly disappeared. The eternal thunder chased into the vortex. The head elder hesitated for a bit, but seeing that the vortex was about to disappear, he didn't have too much time to think. He charged into the vortex. Leo has caught a cold, his nose running like a leaky faucet, making it unlikely he'll make it home tomorrow. Trying hard to ensure a new update, but lacking the energy, longing for the like button for the video.